Hey everyone, Dan's running a little late. Anyone keep Heidi waiting? See this, Heidi? This could be all yours. um, Dan will be with us shortly. I put down in the chat some of the things we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about why is it that Dan Aguirre, he really hates Taylor Swift, Patrick Mahomes, and the entire Chiefs kingdom. I'm not that way. Oh, he just sent me a note. Please don't mention that orgy I was at last Friday. Okay, I won't. Um, I mean, a lot of us have envy, right, towards the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and their celebrity status that they've basically now surpassed the 85 Bears just by virtue of the fact that they've won two out of the last three Super Bowls. And the 85 team is going to forever be the number one single season NFL team, best NFL team for a single season. But now, we're talking about a dynasty. So I understand Dan being envious, but I'm talking about hate with a capital Hate. That's where he's at. Anyway, so we'll talk to him about that when he gets here. Johnny Santucci has a new Bears State of Affairs, and he will be popping in probably an hour from now. And we've also going to talk a lot about what the local sports radio shows have been saying the last couple of days, but also taking a look at the national media as well, get a taste for them. We love to talk about sports media, local and national, on this particular show. We like talking about, sex and beer and drugs and rock and roll and soul music and whatever. Thank you, Cody. Cody says that there was a great show with Greg Gabriel and Jerry Angelo. So if you're looking for a serious football show, you should stop watching this one and then go to Barroom Network Archive show and watch Gabriel Talks Football. He interviews Jerry Angelo today. If you like fart jokes and stuff like that, this is the place to be. All right, let's get the show on the road.
Put the children to bed. It's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
Then, with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. He embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
They won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So, Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
I love the efficiency of bourbon.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
Welcome, everyone, to a new episode of Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls. My name is Aldo Gandia. Joining me shortly will be Dan Aguirre. He's over taking care of a couple last-minute things at his other job, and so we're really looking forward to talking to Dan and getting his heated thoughts on the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Taylor Swift, and all of that stuff. Before he gets here, I want to say something about Caleb Williams and Justin Fields. I think I'm on record. I think most people know that if I was the general manager of the Chicago Bears, based on what I know right now, I would lean towards retaining Justin Fields, trading the number 1 overall draft pick for a huge haul, because apparently a lot of people in the media are saying this is going to be a huge haul, a generational haul. Well, I'm in favor of doing that and improving the overall football team and still having a good quarterback and potentially a quarterback who could become great under new offensive coordinator, playing along with DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison, or one of the other top receivers in this draft, playing with the left tackle or other new offensive linemen who can give him time. There's factors here that can get Justin Fields to progress. Is he ever going to be Patrick Mahomes? No. And some of the radio station guys are talking about that. The expectations that Patrick Mahomes, that the Bears can find another Patrick Mahomes are unrealistic, and they are. They fucking are. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was 10th in the first round. Tom Brady was in the 6th round. So, those high echelon quarterbacks, Joe Montana, 3rd rounder, that's a crapshoot. And there's so many question marks regarding Caleb. Do I love the talent? Absolutely. Am I one of those Justin Fields stick suckers? Absolutely not. Give you proof. This is me watching the Bears and Vikings this year. I typically am very active on social media that day, showing some highlights in my commentary. So you're all going to remember this player. This is what's infuriating about my quarterback, Justin Fields. This is 3 seconds, 4 seconds. You got 25 right there. Throw it to him and allow him to try to make a play to pick up the first down. And then on the end zone look, we see that DJ Moore was open and he didn't pull the trigger. So what is going on inside Justin Fields' head? Why does he sometimes go into a fog and doesn't make the play when it's there? It is infuriating. I love the guy. I want him to be my franchise quarterback, but I have to criticize what I see. Here's the DJ Moore. Here is when he should throw it. Right there, throw it. And just in case you don't agree with me, because when I posted this on Twitter, people were saying, there's no window there to throw it, Justin. Yes, there is. Here's the DJ Here it comes. Moore. Watch. Here is when he should throw. Right there. That's where you throw the ball. The linebacker number 58 is drifting to his right. He's got his left arm out, but you're anticipating DJ Moore in between number 58 and the hash marks, and that ball's got to fly right there. He's bouncing. He's looking at him. Why don't you throw the fucking ball, right, Justin? And so what we're hoping is that Shane Waldron is going to take care of that. That with a 4th year of NFL experience, that he's going to finally start to get it, that he's finally going to come around. And if he doesn't and you miss out on Caleb Williams, you're probably not missing out on the excellent generational talent. He might be good, he might be great, but I'm willing to take a chance on Justin Fields in 2024 and pick up lots of draft assets for that number 1 overall pick. That's what I'm citing for right now. I could change my mind. I've done it before. I've changed wives 3-4 times. Dan Aguirre, how are you, my friend?
Hey, do you think Republicans talk more about Reagan than we do the 85 Bears?
I think that they've forgotten about Ronald with the way the politics are going now. But why do you bring that up?
Oh, God. In the other studio, Levin is going off, or Levine, whatever his name is going on this. They pretended to be Reagan supporters, but we know who they were and who they weren't. I'm like, what year is this? But okay.
Wow, man, the politics talk is just going to get nuts. We think that this Caleb Justin stuff is driving us nuts, or the Taylor Swift stuff is driving us nuts. Wait till we get really into the heat of. By the way, did you see Jon Stewart's? He's back on the Daily Show.
Yeah, it's like once a week or something, right?
Yeah, every Monday. He did a fantastic job of skewering Joe Biden and Donald Trump. These 2 fucking old guys. I mean, they don't remember nothing, man.
Yeah,
I don't remember how to speak English. So
it's bad, man, for sure. Like on both sides, and I'm not playing both sidesism when I say that. I mean, the mental acuity of either gentleman, whoever side you're on. I mean, it's not like we're talking about Obama, or even Romney,
right?
Like younger gentlemen. So.
Yeah, I mean, when Reagan was in office the second time, there were all these stories about his mental capacity being diminished. He was old, he was shocked, and a lot of that was legitimate. There's actual videotape of people whispering into his ear for what to say. It could have been because bad hearing. It could have been because early onset of Alzheimer's, which we know he had. It was bad. Now it's twice as bad because both of the candidates are failing. But enough about politics. I want to start the show, Dan, by telling everyone that you were so fucking happy to see Taylor Swift and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs celebrating another Super Bowl. Tell us about it.
Well, I was rooting for San Francisco, and subsequent to that, of course, I've seen a bunch of people showing all these holding penalties that should have been called. And so I don't want to get involved in that shit. I mean, it's just like, I didn't want to get upset. I was talking via text or, even though I was watching the game alone, I sort of wasn't paying attention to it. It was kind of like it was on at a bar because I didn't want to get upset. Now, as the game grew closer toward the fourth quarter and overtime, then of course it had my, complete attention, but I didn't want to get emotionally invested. I was like, all right, so they keep showing Taylor. So what? Fuck it. Don't get upset. Early in the game, my takeaway was, that's the same thing I would say when we had Nagy, even though it wasn't Nagy's fault this time. Why do teams just get so away from the running game? I don't know if McCaffrey had a carry in the third quarter. And San Francisco just threw the third period away. And then, between the special teams mistake and then the extra point miss, that's why they lost the game. We wouldn't even be in overtime. But I can't take anything away from Mahomes, man. I mean, he drove down the field. They scored. He did what he had to do to win. There was no controversy like last year's Super Bowl or the AFC Championship. So I can't complain in that regard. I still say, going into next year, the only way I'll watch him play is if it's the Super Bowl, which God forbid that happens again, or against the Bears, which won't happen next year. So I will not watch a Patrick Mahomes game next year.
So you are boycotting Patrick Mahomes. Any game that for sure he's going to quarterback, you're just boycotting it.
If for some reason I'm there, because I hope that we go to a game, next year together. If for some reason I'm with you and you're watching a game, I'm not going to just walk out of the room. If I'm at a bar, I'm not going to leave the bar. If a friend's watching, if friend's like, no, let's watch Kansas City and the Harbaugh and the Charge. Okay. But if it's up to me, I'm not watching him. I don't want to be upset. I don't want to. I hate this team. I loathe them.
So if you're at home and the Bears have the nationally televised afternoon game and your local station is beaming to you the Chiefs and the Patriots, fuck that. Chiefs.
No way.
I don't give a shit.
No way. I'll just stay home and miss Sunday Night Football then.
Well, I don't blame you there if you're going to beat off.
I'll miss all their nationally televised games. I'm telling you, that's how much they make me unhappy. But I'm not full of shit in the sense that San Francisco had, I don't know how many plays that last drive was. Just get a stop, man. You got a Super Bowl. Just stop him. And they had a fourth down. When he ran on that fourth down and picked up the first down, I knew they were in trouble because momentum is fickle like that. So I don't want to take anything away from them. They earned the game, and I applaud them for that. But I don't like their soap opera. I don't hate Taylor Swift. I acknowledge in the sense that I acknowledge she's the biggest pop star in the world. That doesn't mean I want her shoved down my fucking throat another season. God, we've had too much of that already. And I'm not anti-woman. I'm not anti-anything. It's just I don't want that soap opera. Hopefully they'll break up in the offseason.
Well, you do, understand, though, that she has been great for NFL ratings. In fact, NFL media released this today. This was a record-setting Super Bowl. Total unduplicated audience of 202 million people, highest on record, and up to a 10% increase from last season. 127 or 123 million on TV and digital, the most watched telecast ever, the most streamed Super Bowl on record. And people are saying that this was the most watched network television event since the lunar landing back in 1969, when there were only 4 channels. So, that's because of the galactic power of Taylor Swift. You had a bunch of young girls watching this game. They didn't know what was going on. They were learning what was going on, but they wanted those shots that made you sick. They wanted those shots of Taylor either cheering or crying or whatever the fuck she was doing.
Yeah, but imagine for just a moment. Now, I don't, because I know you like Kansas City, and that's fine. I respect that. But just imagine for a moment that this was a team you didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say she was dating Aaron Rodgers, and it's like 3 seasons ago or something. And every time, God, I know everything you said. I acknowledge everything you said with the numbers and all that. And Goodell was talking about how it was good for football. Okay, I get that. But just imagine if this was a team that you loathed and that just set it off, man, just on top of everything else, a player you didn't want to see. I don't like the stupid fucking redneck tight end who's yelling at Andy Reid either. I don't like Kelsey. I don't like Mahomes. I don't like the fucking logo. I don't like Chiefs Kingdom. I don't like anything to do with them.
I love that logo.
I hate their fucking organization. I'll quote John. They said John Madden hated that horse they used to have, and I hate them too, even though they don't have the horse anymore. But still, Madden hated them. I hate them too. I'm sick of them. It's okay. You have your 3 Super Bowls. Please go away now. We don't want to back-to-back-to-back. You probably do, but I don't.
By the way, did you see that Super Bowl pregame feature, a little mini movie that they had about Al Davis? Clearly you didn't.
No.
Okay. They did like a 10-minute, maybe less than that, little film about Al Davis's influence on the NFL. And it was really well done. It was done like a little movie. And the guy that played John Madden, man, he nailed it. He fucking sounded like he could do the video games. He was so good and looked a lot like the younger John Madden. It was really good. Got to try to find that on YouTube. If I find it, I'll send it over to you.
Hey, quick question. I hate to ask a technical thing on air because the people listening or watching don't give a shit, but do I sound okay? You
sound great.
You know how when we would be watching before Tooch switched his internet and it would be breaking up? That's the way you're doing to me. I didn't know if it was my fault or not.
No, it's got to be on that end. My signal is strong according to my little calculator.
Well, just as long as you can hear me, I don't care if it breaks up a little bit. I can hear you well enough.
Perfectly. And Jay Grizz says, it looks like in that photo that I used today for you, it looks like he says that it looks like you're getting a blowjob.
You know what? I'll just tell you I was.
And why not? Thank you, Doc.
I love that shirt, though. I bought it.
Love it.
The first day that Fox coached us, we lost to Green Bay on opening day, and he wore that shirt. And we wore the 40s throwbacks, and I bought that shirt because Fox wore it, and I thought it looked smooth.
I love it.
It's the same shirt that John Fox wore.
Jay Grizz, man, he is funny as all. He says it really looks like he's at work getting a blowjob.
I am pretty happy in that photo, right?
You really are. Clearly, you were not listening to a Taylor Swift song.
Now, again, that's the thing. I can acknowledge her impact on pop music. That's fine. With football, it's driving me nuts.
Would you like it? Let's say Justin Fields returns next year. I think we all know he's still single. I think he is. Anyway, would you like it if he started dating a global superstar? I don't know, Lady Gaga or whoever. And that type of attention that Kelsey and Taylor Swift are getting that was not transferred over to Justin Fields and Lady Gaga or Cole Kmet and fucking, I don't know, Halle Berry or something.
Oh man, I'd love to see Halle Berry every day, or a Lady Gaga too. It's a different audience.
Yeah,
you know that dance that Taylor Swift was doing, that side to side shit at the Dolphins playoff game. That made me sick, man. Like, This is like everything. It's like wrong with the world was happening right there. Like, I don't want to see that ever again. And if that means we have to see Lady Gaga, at least she wouldn't do that.
No,
she wouldn't do that. So I'm okay if Fields is getting, some pop star pussy. Maybe he can take Sierra from Russell Wilson because they're fucking annoying together.
Yeah, indeed. Well, as Dobbsy says, the Bears indeed are getting, they never get national attention, so bring it on. But I'll tell you one thing, Dobbsy, they're getting national attention now. All of this talk about what is going to happen, this is the hot topic. Local media is even talking about the national media's response to the Chicago Bears having the number 1 overall pick. What are they going to do? I got a little clip here from Rich Eisen talking about that very same thing, and I'll play it for you as soon as I load it up. And here she comes.
I just think at the end of the day, they'll have to look themselves in the mirror and say, is our current quarterback somebody that can go to the biggest game if we can possibly get there and outduel Patrick Mahomes? Because more than likely he's going to be there.
Seems like
honestly.
I mean,
chances are
he's gone to 67% of them so far.
Brady went to 50% of the ones basically in his tenure as a starting quarterback.
Yep.
So if Mahomes is going to have the same sort of run, you got to figure out who's going to be the one that could put us in that category.
That can stand toe to toe.
Like Josh Allen, like another Ohio State quarterback, Joe Burrow.
Lamar.
No, I mean, Lamar just lost, but I guess the guy who's got that extra ability, and Justin Fields has shown it.
How can they say Josh Allen with a straight face? The dude fucking melts in crunch time. I know that he's got better stats than our guy, but dude, Josh Allen has accomplished nothing.
Nothing is right. Absolutely
nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That dude gets so much love, and he throws as many picks as anybody. I'm not saying he sucks. I'm not saying he's not better than Justin, but if you're going to say, like Josh Allen, what's Mahomes like fucking 19-1 against him?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fuck, like Josh Allen. Josh Allen needs to be. They should ask him that. What can you do to beat Patrick Mahomes? Nothing? Okay, nothing. You could have home field advantage. You could have snow. Nothing. You can't win. It's like Adrian when Rocky was about to go fight Drago and she says, you can't win. That's Josh Allen. You can't win.
I love it. I love it. You're absolutely right. I mean, you look at who beat Tom Brady. Nick Foles. So
Eli Manning.
Eli Manning twice, right? He won 2 Super Bowls. Were both against the Patriots?
Yes.
Look at that.
And Peyton started beating him a little bit too in some of the championship games. Early on, he couldn't beat him, but he beat him a few times.
Right. This is why I feel we should invest in Justin Fields, because Eli Manning at his best is better or was better than the present Justin Fields. But in my heart of hearts, and being unbiased, I believe Justin Fields can surpass the playing accomplishments of Eli Manning as a quarterback and surpass them, meaning then he's good for 2 or 3 Super Bowls with the Bears if you surround them with the right talent, the right play caller, and so forth. What do we have in Caleb Williams? Fuck, we could have Jamarcus Russell or we could have Patrick Mahomes. Highly unlikely, somewhere in the middle probably. That's why this whole thing about just blindly picking Caleb Williams, and somebody in one of the radio cuts says, I bet you a lot of people haven't even seen Caleb Williams play a full fucking game and they're already preaching for him. I don't understand it. This love for the shiny new thing when we have someone that we've been developing. Does this bother you, Dan Aguirre? Does it bother you that Danny Parkins, whose show I love, but this move really bothered me. He goes on radio.
Oh, I saw this on Twitter.
Well, does this bother you?
For one, 13 is the number that's in use right now. No, granted, Caleb Williams could probably buy it from Scott, but yeah, that bothered me. But I will say, it does seem like that everything you're hearing report-wise is like, well, the Bears have to be blown away not to take him. it seems like the momentum is like in the Caleb Williams category right now, which is surprising because after Kingsbury went to Washington, I thought that would start to at least instigate some talk, the catalyst for a potential trade. But everything seems to be pointing toward Williams now to the point where I'm a little demoralized by it. However, I know if they draft him, he's got to be the guy I root for. But right now, I don't want him. I don't want him, man. I know that'll piss Stephen May or me off or whatever the fuck. But.
Well, and what do you think about what Zach says here, saying that there's no evidence suggesting that Fields is going to be Eli Manning or better? What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, Eli won the Super Bowl out of nowhere in his 4th season. They were 9-7 and ran the table. Then they didn't make the playoffs again for another 4 years. Fields could do that. And Fields is going into his 4th year now, and he was only 24. It takes time sometimes. And as you've pointed out so many times, the Bears went bare fucking bones, no pun intended, 2 years ago and stripped everything away. And he had the absolute minimum support, not just on offense, but defense too. So they didn't want to win any games in 2022, as we know. So if you throw that year away, then he was shockingly good in the run game at the time and average at the pass game in 23 and then 24. It wasn't perfect, but I mean, it showed, it seemed progressive. He was progressing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what I think. I know this is a big gamble. I know it's a big fucking gamble. You don't want to, if Caleb Williams is that next generational starter, you don't want to be the GM and say, yeah, I fucking passed up on CJ Stroud. A lot of people would have, so I don't blame him too much on that. That was a bit of a surprise. But now you're being told this guy is the next Patrick Mahomes, the next superstar generational talent. You're being told that.
But there isn't a next Patrick Mahomes.
I totally agree with you.
There isn't another Mahomes. I mean, the same way there wasn't another Brady. There wasn't another Manning. There wasn't another Elway or Montana. These are just singular guys that you can put in your hands the last 40 years that were great, great quarterbacks. There were a lot of good quarterbacks, but there were probably 10 to 15 great ones in the last 40 years. Mahomes should not be the standard here in the sense that even if you win a Super Bowl, he's probably not going to match the statistical greatness of Patrick Mahomes. So why do it's like trying to say, who's the next Jordan? There is no next fucking Jordan. Maybe Kobe. Okay, maybe LeBron, but that's it. You could still be a great player and not be Jordan, though, right?
Yeah, and that's interesting that you bring that up because I was thinking about that just the other day. There is no closer player to the majesty of Michael Jordan than Kobe Bryant. And the reason that happened was because Kobe was calling him, once a week, asking him questions, and he was modeling his game after him. He was modeling his off the court and on the court behavior as Michael Jordan. I mean, this guy really dedicated his life to being better than Michael Jordan and starting by duplicating and replicating everything Michael Jordan was doing. But that's a different story for another day. The whole Caleb Williams thing is a bit annoying because I do feel like a lot of his supporters have just watched highlight film. I can't wait to get into this draft process and have some of the best people in the business start to break down that tape. I can't do it because I don't know enough about the techniques of football. I'm a student of the game, but to have Danny Shimon and Greg and guys like Kurt Warner or whatever break down that tape, I'm really, really interested in seeing that and learning more about his game. I've seen maybe 2.5 USC games with Caleb Williams as a quarterback. One of them was the Notre Dame game, so you can understand why I'm a little fucking hesitant about that. And the other one was another loss, the game where I forgot who they played, but he's crying in his mom's shoulder for like 10 minutes.
And that felt staged.
It did.
It felt like he did that for the cameras. It was like a Tim Tebow prayer. It was just like, hey, show me praying, Mm-hmm. And let me ask you a quick question, though. And this is to the people that are anti-Fields. And again, maybe you disagree with me. I'm not even saying my opinion. On Sunday, if San Francisco has Justin Fields instead of Brock Purdy, do they win the Super Bowl?
Justin Fields instead of Brock Purdy. Man, that's a great question.
I have no faith in Brock Purdy. I'm just saying. He led a team to a Super Bowl. I'm envious. Color me fucking green. I think that guy's inability to make a play in the third quarter again when they're passing every down, which is Shanahan's fault, not Purdy's.
Right.
But I just think this guy, man, he's Rex to me. He's like, he can make some plays, but he's not, I loved Grossman, but he's Rex. He's not a great player. And I loved Rex because he was a Bear, but that's who Brock Purdy is. You put an elite athlete like Fields out there, oh man, they have a chance to beat Kansas City, in my opinion.
Well, the reason why that's such a great question, because again, you go back to the Nick Foles thing. It was in Philadelphia, it was the system. They had Carson Wentz and then Nick Foles play at a very high level. And then they bring in Jalen Hurts and he plays at a high level. That's the organization. That's the system. That's the system quarterback. So Justin Fields, if he could adapt to Kyle Shanahan's system, perhaps. But the biggest problem, I think why everybody is saying no, which is in my opinion, it's a good thing, good reason, is Shanahan blew the game. Like you said earlier, he wasn't calling the run play. Christian McCaffrey should have had 25, 35 carries.
Yeah.
And when you get away from that Shanahan wide zone run and you think you can win by passing in the air against any team, is your chances are really going to be bad.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I probably like Brock Purdy a little bit more than you, but I totally understand your point.
If you've got the quarterback that clearly isn't the better quarterback, I mean, Mahomes is head and shoulders above Purdy, and that's not Purdy's fault. I mean, again, right. Mahomes is on a different level than everybody. But if you've got the disadvantage there, and you come from the system that says, hey, we're modeling this run game after Terrell Davis, and you got a back that's running well, then run the fucking ball. Like, keep McCaffrey should have been the MVP of the game, and San Francisco wins. That should have been the game plan. If you make CMC your MVP, you're going to go home with the trophy. You try to make Brock Purdy Joe Montana, you're going to lose.
Omar Barrios, my good friend, says, Dan, I can't believe you actually think Justin Fields can beat Patrick Mahomes. I think it's the system. You devise a system to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. That team was ripe for the taking, man. What did their offense do in the first half? They did jack shit. They had one long pass, but that defense forced a fumble on my fellow Puerto Rican, Isaiah Pacheco, and they had that game. What about the whole Shanahan not sharing with his team the overtime rules? Do you think that was a factor at all?
I didn't even know about that. I've watched zero coverage since Sunday, so enlighten me, please.
Well, what happened is that the players, San Francisco 49ers players, were asked about the new overtime rules and did that have any impact on their play. And a number of them said, what new overtime rules? In fact, another guy said, yeah, we learned about it on the field. So the new overtime rules for the Super Bowl is that each team gets a possession, and that if both teams score the same amount of points after that possession, then they continue to play. It becomes sudden death. So the players thought it was regular season rules.
I mean, that's on the players, man. If you and I can be sitting at in the Bears barroom man cave and know the fucking rules, and we're not professional athletes, dude, know the rules.
I think it's on the coaching staff. It's their job to communicate this stuff. Like Patrick Mahomes said, oh my God, in his Kermit the Frog voice, oh my God, I was so tired that they kept mentioning it all week long. The overtime rules are this. I was sick of hearing it. I'm like, it's not even going to happen like that.
That's a good impression.
Thanks. He was asked, hey, can you do your best Kermit the Frog impression? And in his normal voice, he says, I'm doing it right now. That was pretty good. Okay. Let's play. What I did, Dan, this week is I divided the clips from the local radio stations. I've got 4 from the top shows over at The Score and at ESPN 1000. So let's play one, and then after we hear what they have to say, you and I will discuss, okay?
Okay.
The question now is, it's very clear, which quarterback are they going to draft? Okay. Like the Fields thing, has run its course. But you watch that game, and it's going to be difficult for them. It's difficult for all the teams that are looking for their own Patrick Mahomes.
By the way, Dan, your mic is hot. So if you want to say, fuck you, Brad Biggs, feel right ahead. Everybody will be listening.
Get that guy that's near that level. But you've got to have that player if you want to annually chase a championship. You have to have an elite quarterback, a guy that can make up for the shortcomings of the players around him. We talked about poor offensive line play.
So here's the thing. Who fits that bill now? Who fits that bill? Are you talking about Josh Allen, that he gets into the playoffs but doesn't get past the first or second round?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. As you were saying, you talk about Justin Herbert, who hasn't even been to the playoffs.
No, he got there once and lost a 27-0 lead.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry, I forgot. So I don't know. You know, it's like, and in some of these other clips they'll talk about that. It's like you're assuming that Caleb Williams is going to play at a Patrick Mahomes level and get your team to the Super Bowl every year. No. I believe that Justin Fields can get the Bears to the playoffs every year, and hopefully this upcoming season will be the year.
Do you think, before you start the clip,
Sure.
Is it just me, or is it seem like it's a foregone conclusion if you listen to everybody like Har, that they think that Williams is being drafted, Caleb Williams is being drafted, there's no way that Fields stays? That seems to be the narrative now. Am I wrong?
Among the Chicago media, it is definitely that. There's no doubt about it. And Brad Biggs, I think he says it in this clip, says, I've been writing about it for several months now. Fields is gone. Caleb Williams is going to be drafted as the Chicago Bears. And you have to wonder with his connections, I don't think he has connections at Hallis Hall that is telling him anything, but he is hearing it from other general managers and scouts that it's a no-brainer. You have to take Caleb because you're resetting the salary cap and you're getting somebody who can already do what Justin does, which is bullshit. I don't believe that. What did you hear the Merrill Hodge interview about Caleb?
Oh, Merrill Hodge was pretty hot about it.
Yep. He said the guy is not ready. He's not a generational player. Now, he offered the caveat that he's only studied 6 games, but he has seen enough to think that this guy is inaccurate when throwing on the run, which I will quibble with a little bit, but that he's got here's the headline here. If you think that Caleb Williams is going to become Patrick Mahomes, well, you better then replicate it, have him sit for a year behind a veteran quarterback, and have a head coach who's considered an offensive genius. That's who Patrick Mahomes is.
You know
That's who he is.
You know what could happen if the Bears draft him? They trade Fields and he starts balling out in Pittsburgh or wherever.
Oh, fucking A, of course.
And then Williams is throwing 3 or 4 picks against the Packers, and you combine that with the popularity amongst the team and most of the fan base, at least 51, 52 kind of percent. He's going to be booed out of the building unless he plays great right from the jump. And that's not fair to ask him to play great from the jump. So it just seems like you're setting yourself up for disappointment if you draft him, in my opinion, unless he just comes right out the gates playing great. But who does that?
Yeah, exactly. That's not going to happen. This guy has never been under center. This guy has got to learn some of the basics of quarterbacking as far as on the NFL level. It's going to take him a while. And as I think it was Merrill Hodge who said, or it's actually Keyshawn Johnson says, you've got 2 quarterbacks who have the same skill set. Both have strong arms. Both can scramble a lot. Both are better on the fly than they are in design plays. You need to bring in a coordinator who appreciates that. All right. You want to hear a little more Brad Biggs, or should we just skip his ass?
I just want to point out that Merrill Hodge sued the Bears at one point.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's not like he's got some rosy relationship with the Bears. No. I still think that that's his genuine opinion, though.
I do agree with that.
But go ahead.
Right.
Yeah, let's hear Brad. Let's
hear just a little more. It's a total of 4.5 minutes. If you get bored at any point, let me know.
For the Chiefs, particularly early in that game, an issue. who's he throwing the ball to? I know Rashee Rice, the rookie, had a nice he had a nice rookie season. He really did, and he looks like he's going to be a pretty talented player moving forward. Like McCole Hardman catches the game-winning touchdown. The Jets dumped him.
Mm-hmm.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling caught a touchdown pass. So it's the quarterback that raises the level of everyone else up. That's the takeaway for me. That's kind of where I'm at. The combine's going to start 2 weeks from today, David. Draft preparation is going to hit high gear, and that's where the Bears are going to be going. We've seen the reports that it would take, what was the term, a historic haul for the Bears to trade the pick. Well, here's my interpretation. Hey, guys, we're not going to trade the first pick, but Justin's available. We have operators standing by at Hallis Hall right now. So call now.
Call now.
If you're interested in Justin.
Here's the number.
Yeah. No, seriously.
Right.
Like, that's the interpretation there for me.
I would love for him to have to eat
you.
that.
There's no doubt that report was planted with that in mind, because he is open for business. It's unlikely they're going to deal it. And Brad, I do think that's the takeaway. I do think that when you look at what happened last night, it was a reminder, all the conversations that we have about, what they could get for that number 1 overall pick. Yeah, you could build the roster. You could have the best roster in the National Football League, like the 49ers do. And it's still, if you have a better quarterback, a guy who elevates everybody else, you'd rather have that, wouldn't you? Isn't that the biggest takeaway from yesterday?
Yeah, and even Purdy, like Purdy's performance this season just blows away anything the Bears have had ever.
Right.
Ever. Like,
Get the fuck out of here.
Purdy season.
Yeah,
for
God,
this year,
turn it off. Turn it off.
Well,
I can't take it. Brock Purdy's got a great supporting cast around him, and I don't fault him for that.
Thank you.
And yeah. Your biggest takeaway from the game is that you need Patrick. Well, fucking Caleb Williams isn't Patrick Mahomes. Even if you think Justin Fields isn't, fucking Caleb Williams isn't either. And it's not fair to either guy to suggest that they are. Why does everybody just assume that Caleb Williams is, though?
I don't get it.
I don't understand. It's like, are they like, is his agent like sucking everybody's dick? Like, why does everybody put this guy over? And it's just like,
I don't understand.
God, I mean, he's not, who knows? Maybe he'll be the guy we're cheering for next year, but it just feels like this is Johnny Manziel here.
Oh my gosh. And that's, Merrill Hodge warned everybody about Manziel. He said, you gotta be kidding. This guy's going to be a bust in the NFL. I'm paraphrasing what he said.
And don't forget, Mike North's favorite Mitchell Trubisky was just released, another bust. And we've already made a mistake there.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's listen to what the guys over at this was, I thought, interesting. It was Lawrence Holmes making a good point about basically what we're talking about right now.
You might think that you're out here chasing and you're trying to find the next Mahomes. I think that we're not giving Mahomes enough credit for how good he is. His numbers are better than Tom Brady's at age 28. 3 Super Bowls, 3 MVPs, 3 All-Pros. And
more impressively, his full season's worth of postseason games is its own all-time great season.
If you look at Tom Brady's first 2 Super Bowls, Tom was kind of a passenger. He was honestly a little bit more Brock Purdy than he was Tom Brady in the first 2. And then after that, like once he got comfortable, he was the engine that was driving the Patriots. Patrick Mahomes has been the engine that's been driving the Patriots since he became a starter. And his resume reveals that. And his resume versus Brady at the same age reveals that. Like there's a big gap between those 2 guys at age 28. Even with Tom winning the 3 Super Bowls by age 28. If you get stuck into chasing that, can you actively build a good team? Do you trick yourself into believing that you're seeing it because you're seeing things that you're seeing a player maybe make some of those plays in college. Like if you wanted to and you wanted to go look at Justin Fields'
All right, I think we get the gist of what he's saying. You know, there's only one Patrick Mahomes. Nobody else is going to, play at that kind of level. It's the perfect storm, too, he goes on to say. It's the perfect storm. You got the coach, you got, the quarterback, you got Alex Smith and so forth, and the Bears don't have that thing. Again, it leads me to believe that the best route is to find the offensive coordinator who's going to unlock the Justin Fields potential and create a game plan for what he does well, and then get other players who do great things well, great things, and implement them into the offense, and away you go. Away you fucking go. So,
is all this for naught, though? Is all of this like swimming upstream? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how much we think we're being rational and pointing out the obvious to people that are just completely bought into Williams, and maybe they'll ultimately be right. But are we just saying all this on February 13th for nothing? Is it inevitable that we're going to draft the other guy?
See, I don't know that for sure. Did you hear Kevin Warren talking with Jared Payton today?
I did not.
Justin has a rare combination of intelligence, of size, of strength, and speed. You forget how big of a man he is until you're up on him. He's not a small man. And so I just think every year he's going to continually get better. So I'm glad he's on the Chicago Bears.
That's an endorsement, man. Is he saying that because he's trying to drive up his trade value, or is he saying that because he wouldn't mind seeing Justin Fields come back for another season with the Bears? What do you think?
That's good. That gives me hope. But again, maybe that's the proverbial three-dimensional chess.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a smoke screen. And it's just, I guess we're not going to fucking know. We're going to keep having the same show until May, right?
Yeah.
Or late April.
Mm-hmm. Omar has a hypothetical for you. Does Jay Cutler play better than Fields with this current roster?
I love Cutler, as everybody knows. Cutler, I think, has more arm talent than Fields, but I think Fields has the guys with him. To use a cliche, he's the guys want to be in the foxhole with him. And Jay had a couple of guys with him. Kyle Long would fight and beat somebody's ass for him. Brandon Marshall would have beat somebody's ass for him. But Justin seems to have the whole team. That's an intangible that you can't really pay for. So I'm going to say that I'd rather have Justin right now. But again, I think Jay was definitely a better pocket passer. And Jay could run too. People forget that he didn't run like Fields could run, but he was very capable of running somebody's ass over. See Harrison Smith in 2015.
Yeah, exactly. I want to digress here just for a moment, because somebody in the chat room said that the folks over at TTNL, which I'm assuming when they use those initials, they're referring to Phil and Shane, that they've kind of talked them into, drafting Caleb, that Justin can't do it and so forth. I think that's the narrative that they're offering here. And I said back, well, they also tried to convince me that Mitch Trubisky was the right quarterback. And then Jimmy says that's a pure lie. TTNL was against drafting Trubisky. I was working with those guys. Those two guys were part of the bar room. And the narrative, the actual true narrative, is that Phil wanted Deshaun Watson. Shane was leaning towards Deshaun Kaiser. And I was the only one that wanted Patrick Mahomes. I said Patrick Mahomes on my board is the best quarterback. On draft night, when Mitchell Trubisky was selected, Phil and Shane were ecstatic. They were fucking throwing balloons. And I'm like, well, I don't understand this. You guys didn't even have him as your number one quarterback, and we traded up for this guy, for a guy that you didn't want as the quarterback. And they said, it doesn't matter. Pace went out and got his own quarterback. And I'm like, well, he got the wrong quarterback then, because that's what you guys have been telling me about Trubisky. So all of a sudden they just threw that out, and they, fandom crept into them, and it overrode their analytics on Trubisky. They weren't happy about him. In fact, they were saying Trubisky is only, this was primarily Phil that was saying this, and it was agreed by Lauren Cox. Trubisky is only being talked about as the number one quarterback because he's white. And maybe that's true because there has been a bias against black quarterbacks for a long, long time. And maybe that was true. I didn't agree or disagree. That was their opinion. So that's the true narrative of what happened during the Bears barroom days when Shane and Phil and Lauren Cox were a part of. Do you remember any of that, Danny? Or was that before your time?
It's a little bit before my time, but I know that 100 proof these discussions were happening quite frequently. So, and much like the Watergate tapes, I'm sure you could drag them up if you needed to. I know most of that stuff was taken down as a courtesy as part of the divorce here, but I know you still have it.
Yeah, I think I do. I think I do. Anyway.
Well, it's like, you could come back to stuff that we've said on this show like 3 years ago or something. We're like trying to put Getsy over when they hired him because, we had hope because we're fans. So I'm going to defend them on this one in the sense that, hey, he's the guy they drafted, so let's put him over and let's hope for him. But, like you said, you don't I haven't watched the show. I'm not saying that's not a show you shouldn't watch. I'm not trying to denigrate them. I'm just saying I don't have the time. But yeah, if they really have changed, if they're denying what they said back in the day, that kind of sucks. But I get it though. Sometimes you say things and you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have. Was I really happy when the Bears traded for Rick Meyer? I wasn't, but I'm just saying, you run into things like that and you're like, I can't believe I felt that. So it's easier to just change the narrative and say, that's not what I thought at the time.
Exactly. Well, and I wish those guys well. I'm not trying to pick on them. I'm not trying to start a feud.
Somebody else was mentioning it. You're just responding.
So I just want to make sure that their analysis of players isn't always spot on. They might make a good argument, but it's not like the results of their assessments are 100% correct. Just like Greg Gabriel's isn't. We talked about that today. Jerry Angelo was his guest on Gabriel Talks Football, and they talked about some of the disappointments that they had. And Gabriel talked about Michael Haynes, that they drafted him with full confidence that, a smart guy had 13, 14, 15 sacks at Penn State in his final year, and he came to the Bears and he just displayed a apathy for the game. Didn't have the love of the game. Didn't have the FBI, football intelligence. So it happens to professionals. It happens to us pretend GMs. That's what I am. I like to pretend I'm a GM from time to time. All right, I got a clip here from Yurkovich, and I forgot what the fuck he's saying, but I thought it was good enough. It's 2 minutes long.
Hey, if somebody like Tomlin, who's one of the better coaches, has been...
Oh, yeah, they were responding to a caller, and this caller is saying, well, if Tomlin really wants Justin Fields, because that's the big rumor today, that Fields might be moved.
Yeah, I've heard this from all my Steeler friends. Yeah.
Yeah. So this caller is saying, well, if Tomlin really wants this guy, doesn't that tell us that we should stay with Justin? Here comes their...
Hey, if somebody like Tomlin, who's one of the better coaches, has been there for such a long time, and, the dude knows what he's doing, is okay going, hey, we're okay getting rid of Claypool. Should we take notice that he's like, I think I can work with Justin Fields? What's your thought?
Thanks, Kenny. I would be more worried if Sean Payton said, Justin Fields, I want Justin Fields. I'd be like, whoa, wait a minute. Or if Jim Harbaugh did, or if Andy Reid did.
Yep.
They haven't done the best job of replacing Ben Roethlisberger.
Right.
Let's face it.
That's been their problem.
Kenny Pickett stinks.
Yeah, in Mike Tomlin's world, the quarterbacks that he's had to play with, Mason Rudolph,
yeah.
Kenny Pickett. They've had another guy that was in there last year a little bit too.
It was
Trubisky.
Trubisky.
Yeah,
this is the guy that went out and signed Mitch Trubisky.
Right, so listen, guys. So this is what happens. In his world, the quarterbacking he's seen the last 2 years, if Fields becomes available and they don't have to overpay, Justin Fields for Mike Tomlin is an obvious improvement of what he has.
It's better than the other.
It's better than what I have.
They've had.
Okay?
Yeah.
And his cap number is only going to be $6.4 million this year. I still don't know if he gets traded, do you still have that fifth-year option on him?
You do.
Then he gets to put a fifth-year option on him, and then he gets to evaluate him for 2 years. But he believes with him, he'd be better off at the quarterback position than what he had at the QB position the last 2 years. So for him, somebody's not so much is like the one that he wants to take to the dance and have a party with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
For him, looking at Justin, it's like, oh my heavens,
this is
look
intriguing.
at how great this is.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
But they've got the 20th. They got a second round. They got 2 fourth rounders. 2 fourth rounders, Carm. A 2 if you don't get the 1. You get the 2, and then the 2 fourth rounders.
And both fourth rounders, they have back-to-back fourth round picks.
That's what I'm saying.
If a trade with the Rams.
I'm on Tankathon. I see it. 119 and 120. Would you trade Justin Fields if that happens for the 51st pick in the draft, and then 118 or 119 and 120? Fourth rounders.
That would give the Bears 4 fourth round picks.
That's not a bad haul. Those 2 fourth rounders in the bottom of the first round, might be kind of cool if you did that. I mean, if you really, really want to reset the salary and gamble on, it doesn't have to be Caleb Williams. You could pick up somebody else. You could pick up Drake May. You could pick up Jaden Daniels. JJ McCarthy now is being talked about as a top 10 pick. I personally don't see it. The kid from Michigan. There's no way I'm drafting a quarterback in the top 10 who, for a number of games, didn't even throw for 10 passes. I just not going to trust that on a high draft pick. But what do you think about it? If the Bears have talked to Caleb Williams, he's checked out. He seems like a bright guy. Seems like a guy that really wants to play for the Bears. Seems like he could lead the clubhouse. What do you think about moving Justin Fields to Pittsburgh?
Again, the fan in me says I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. I think that it's not fair for them to take shots at Mike Tomlin there, though. Like to say, it didn't work out. I mean, yeah, Kenny Pickett turned out to be a bust. So what? Not so what. And it's not like Pittsburgh wanted that to happen, but that happens everywhere. That's the point. Even a great organization like the Steelers has a bust here or there at quarterback. Everyone's not generational the way they say they are. So, I don't think they'd be fleecing Tomlin's not a fool, man. Tomlin's won a Super Bowl. If he believes in Justin Fields, if all that's true, it's not like he's just Kenny Pickett's been so bad and Mason Rudolph's been so bad and Trubisky's been so bad that Fields seems better than what he really is which is what they were implying. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's fair. I trust Mike Tomlin. I'd like to have him here, honestly, but I trust his analysis. If he thinks Fields is good, it's because for the right reasons. And I think Fields is a good player too. So I personally, again, I still think the wild card here is not necessarily Pittsburgh, but Washington with the Kingsbury move there.
Yes.
I don't know why that's not being talked about more. And it's not such a haul to go from 2 to 1 as it would be from lower 20s to 1.
Right. So what do you think that Washington would give up if they just want to move up one spot? Are you looking at that similarly to what the Bears gave up for Trubisky, because they moved up from 3 to 2 to get Mitch? And I think they, gave up their
oh, no. If I'm the Bears, I'm like, look, this kid's generational. He's a generational player. Everybody says he's generational. So if you want to come up and get him at number 1, that's fine, Washington. We get your number 1 pick in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And then and your pick this year. So we get the number 2 pick this year and their number 1 pick next year. Right? And they have our number 1. And I'm good with that. What do you think? Then we have 2 number 1s next year.
Yeah, I like that idea. I like that. Now, next year is not a great quarterback year.
Doesn't matter. It might be a fucking beast that comes out of nowhere that's like, oh, this is the best 3 tech we've ever seen, or the best defensive end, or the best linebacker. You could get a generational left tackle, like a Tony Baselli or somebody might show up. You might not need a quarterback. You might have Justin and proven everybody right that's on his bandwagon this year. You might not need another quarterback.
I agree. Listen, the hit rate on a quarterback hitting the first overall pick is about the same as a quarterback picked in day 2 or day 3. In other words, that generational quarterback who's picked, at the very top of the draft, sometimes those guys fail. The Jamarcus Russells, and who was the guy that went to the Rams?
Sam Bradford.
Those guys fail, and so you can potentially pick up a Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round, a Dak Prescott in the 4th round, a Tom Brady in the 6th round. Those guys happen, So this whole generational thing, I think, what happens if we learn that Caleb, doesn't want to come to the Chicago Bears? He goes, you know what? You guys don't really have a good history of developing quarterbacks. I don't want to fucking play for you guys. He pulls.
Then fuck you, Caleb.
Who was it? Phillip Rivers who did that to the.
No, it was Eli that did that to the Chargers.
That's right.
Eli didn't want to go to the Chargers and basically held the league hostage there for a little bit. And John Elway did that to the Baltimore Colts.
I could see that happening with Caleb. And in which case you say, fuck you. I got a good quarterback. I don't need you to fucking be a pain in my ass. I'm going to trade you.
You know what's ironic, though? If you look, Elway did that to the Colts. That worked out for Elway. And Eli did that to the Chargers, and it worked out for the player again.
Indeed.
So maybe the player that's doing that actually knows what the fuck they're doing.
Right. What do you think about what Laz says regarding Justin's injury history by running? Does that concern you?
I mean, last year was sort of I think that was an aberration. He just fell on his hand the wrong way when he was getting sacked.
He should have thrown that fucking ball away.
Well, that's true, but I'm just saying it's just the way he landed. I think that could have happened to anybody there. So I'm not sure that he's injury prone per se. I mean, he got hurt.
He's missed games every season he's played because of injury.
Well, I'm throwing the 23 season out in the sense that could happen to anybody getting sacked, just the way he landed. I know he held the ball too long, but I don't think that was a running play per se. He got his ass kicked in Atlanta the year before last just because they kept calling run plays and he was getting beaten up. So I get it. Yeah, any player can get hurt, though. Anybody can get hurt. That's like saying, well, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers is 40 and he tore his Achilles and he lied about coming back, so maybe the Jets should move on from him. I mean, are they going to? No. I mean, I'm not worried about Justin's his injuries. Everybody gets injured.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. I think, to answer Laz's question this way is, I think that as his career progresses, he's going to do an even better and better and better job of protecting himself. It's basically on these ad lib runs or when he's holding the ball too long where he gets hurt. And I gotta believe that he's bright enough. Everybody tells me how bright he is, that he's bright enough to eventually figure out, I need to fucking throw this ball. I've had it for 4 seconds in my hand and nobody's open. Let me throw this fucker away and not get hurt. And let me, when I'm sliding, lower my head. I saw Patrick Mahomes do that. It looked like he was going to get hit in the head, but he puts his head back where it's parallel to the turf. And so those are things that I think Justin Fields is just going to get better at because he's an athlete and he's going to get better at it. So I'm not too worried about that, Laz. All right, I got one more clip, and then Johnny Santucci, he's not here yet, but he should be here in a few minutes. I got this from ESPN.
I want greatness at quarterback. I'm not getting that from Justin. That's
everybody's really down on Cap because he's flip-flopped on this a couple of times.
Why it mystifies me. I've never said Justin's not a great leader. I've never said he's not a wonderful person and a great representative for the organization in our city. I've never said he's not a decent quarterback. I aspire to greatness. I want one of those assassins that plays back there and I go, oh, God. Our guy, he can take us down the field. Justin never has done that. Why now in year 4? Well, if we get a Marvin Harrison, we can get Marvin Harrison's dad to come out of retirement. We can get Peyton Manning in as the quarterback coach. We can get Saquon Barkley as a free agent and sign 9 All-Pros away from the Niners and the Chiefs. Then he has everything he needs. Why? Why can't I aspire if my grade as the GM is that's the guy right there, and I have the number 1 pick, you want me to leave him on the board? I disagree.
Yeah, I understand.
Wow. Aldo, I can't hear you at all now. I don't know if it's me or maybe I should log back in.
I'm sorry, I muted myself.
Oh, okay. I thought it was my because it's really jumbled on my end tonight. So
no, I'm sorry. I was pouring myself a drink and I didn't want the sound effect of me pouring.
Well, what's your reaction to what Cap was saying? It looked like you were about to complain, and I want to hear it.
No, what I was asking was I wanted to get your thoughts on the whole idea that Justin Fields, basically what Cap was saying, he just is incapable of leading a team downfield when you need points to win. What's your thought on that?
Well, so far, that's probably true because he's failed in the clutch a bunch. Mm-hmm. But all I can say again is the guy is 24. And I don't want to say he's going to be Michael Jordan because that's too fucking strong. But again, we always point out, there were people saying that Jordan couldn't win a big game. Oh, man, yeah, sure, he scored 63, but I mean, wouldn't you rather be the Celtics? I mean, they're a team that passes the ball. They're not a one-man show. Oh, well, yeah, he's the best player in the league, but he can't beat the Pistons. So it's just like at some point you mature, you get better, you keep working at it. Like, Again, the guy's basically a 2-year starter. He was forced in 21. We know the history. And they had no talent in 22. Mm-hmm. And then so 23, I mean, he's doing when we say he's holding on to the ball, what are we really saying? The guy's he's not afraid and he's trying to make a play. Now, it might not be smart, but it's not like he's giving us his all.
Right.
He's trying to make a play, desperately trying to make a play. So, yeah, it is fair to say if you have DJ Moore and then Marvin Harrison Jr., hypothetically, you have two great receivers, that would behoove him to be more effective and more efficient in the crunch, especially if you got Kmet playing. And Saquon, who wants to sign Saquon Barkley now? Isn't he a little bit older and done now?
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. You know what? Isaiah Pacheco was a 7th-round draft pick. The guy should have won the MVP in last year's Super Bowl and played his ass off. Yeah, he had a fumble, but he was a big part of the reason that the Chiefs won this Super Bowl. So this whole thing about getting these aging players, especially the running back position, I don't understand that kind of thinking. It's like, you got the money for a brand new car. Why are you going to lease a fucking 1967 Cadillac? I don't get it.
Now, last year, again, I don't want to change what I was saying, like what we were talking about earlier. If Derrick Henry had been available last year, I'd have been like, oh, man, you got to get him. Because he's just a fucking beast, man. He can run people over, and that's the kind of the back I would like to get. But yeah, Saquon's been hurt so many times. I don't know if I would pay him the money that he's going to earn on the market.
Yeah. See, this whole thing about Justin Fields, not being a clutch player. Yeah, he has to certainly take some responsibility for that. There's no doubt about it. But here's the thing, Dan, and I don't think enough people talk about this. But you and I are going to start a campaign, a global campaign to inform people that Justin Fields has been brainwashed into the whole holding the ball on too long. He has had a defensive head coach who has preached to him, don't turn the ball over, 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 don't turn the ball over. And that has made him too cautious with the ball. I believe that Justin Fields is a gunslinger, and they have castrated the guy. And so my hope is, because the only way this is going to work, whether it's Justin Fields or Caleb Williams or whoever, you got to give the license to the quarterback. Justin Fields in this case, you got to give him the license to fucking fling it, to fucking make the tough throw, to not worry, not come back to the sideline and expect your head coach to be pissed off because you turned the ball over. The only way you can play quarterback in the National Football League is if you take your balls out and you lay them on the table and you say, here they are, motherfucker, lick them or get the fuck out of my way. That's what I think has been happening with Justin Fields, is this very, very conservative approach to offense. Matt Eberflus has had that, and hopefully Shane Waldron, if he goes face to face with Eberflus, and like he and Pete Carroll argued a lot because Pete wanted to run the ball all the time, and Shane wanted a more balanced to throw the ball. They argued, and if that happens again in Chicago, then we're going to be in that fucking, as Tucho always says, we're going to be in that fucking perpetual cycle of just seeing the same shit happen again. Fields and Waldron have to say, this is our offense, Eberflus. Go over there and coach the defense. Keep your mouth shut and stay the fuck out of our way.
I think with regards to what you were saying about the Tooch talking about how things just replay and recycle and that chart with the arrows and such, maybe I'm a fool, but when I hear Kevin Warren speak, I'm like, this dude hasn't been here. He wasn't here in 2000 or 1990 or whatever. I think I like him. I think he is the difference maker, in my opinion, from just listening to him talk. So I think that the bullshit stops here.
Yeah.
I like our front office. I do. I don't know if Poles is going to be here forever. Maybe he's had some good moments, but I do like Kevin Warren. And maybe if Poles has another good draft, maybe we can just say, even if they take Caleb Williams, maybe we can say, okay, we have to trust them. They're our front office, and they're going to be here.
I totally am putting my money in on the Kevin Williams, Ryan Poles regime. My only concern is if they were really, really good at their jobs, they would look at the list of head coaches who have made it to the Super Bowl and said, what's the common denominator here? Fucking lot of great head coaches. Bill Belichick, Andy Reid. These guys have been to this. We talk about Patrick Mahomes going to the Super Bowl and Tom Brady. Well, who were they coached by? You've got to have that fucking support system. And so I continue to worry, is Eberflus the guy? Right now, he hasn't proven to be. Can he grow into the job just like I'm hoping Justin Fields can grow into the job? And I don't want to, I don't want to give up hope on Eberflus, but right now, again, to repeat myself, I just don't see a great coach in him. What do you think? You think he'll become great?
I hope so. And I've mentioned this so many times before, but it created a soft spot for me when they were saying, when the Bears were 0-4, that this guy was staying at Hallis Hall 19, 20 hours a day in lieu of his own family because he's just so desperate. You could say he just didn't want to get fired, but he's trying to do the best job that he can and is just working his ass off. And, every coach can't win. As you know, most coaches don't. So more than likely, statistics say we don't have a guy that's going to win the Super Bowl. But all we can ask for him and hope for him is that he's exerting his entire soul into this, and I think he is.
Dad, what year did you start following the Bears?
Late 80s. And again, I jumped on the bandwagon because of Jim McMahon.
So 87, 86?
87's the first season that I really, really was into it, yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do it now because we're on the air, but I'm going to total up how many losses you've experienced as a Bears fan and how many losses, and we'll talk about it next week.
Well, that's fun. Yeah, that's fun. I don't know if you remember, but when we had Jim McMahon on, I had a sinus infection. I felt like shit, man. I just was so unhappy with the interview.
Sounded great.
But I made a joke to Jim, and it just didn't get over at all. But I was like, man, you're the reason I've been suffering for 38 years or whatever. He didn't react at all, but
I woke him up. But actually, I think it's his son that handles his account. So I DM'd with the show had started. He was like a half hour late. So I DM'd his son, hey, is this still going to happen? And so I think he told me, if I remember the response, yeah, I think he's sleeping, so I'll wake him up.
I wish we could get Tom Zach on, man.
Yeah, I've tried a couple of times. It seems like he's not too keen on that, but I'll keep trying from time to time. Speaking of guys who are sleeping, let's wake up Johnny Santucci.
Does he have a Bear State of Affairs?
He does.
All right.
Indeed. There he is, in fact.
I do.
Johnny Santucci, you look like a man who came from the Bahamas, who
Yeah.
has, since he's gotten back, you've been getting laid
I got
regularly.
my Kalik, the beer of the Bahamas shirt on today.
Nice. Last week on last Tuesday when we did our last show together, you told me that, hey, I gotta go because my wife is feeling a little frisky tonight. So let us know, how did it go? Since Dan doesn't talk about his sex life anymore.
Success, you know.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Do we
like
have
I
another
said.
young child coming?
I hope not.
I'm already broke.
Do you wear protection when you have sex nowadays?
Yeah, my wife has has the pill. So.
Okay, good
Yeah,
for
free.
her.
It's
Good
free.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Might as well.
spurt all over now.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got some like tingly oil she gets on me, so it's like loving that.
Oh,
you know,
nice.
Try that.
Hey,
I don't know
Toots,
the name. I'll find out though. But
Toots, before you start, just for later, did you watch this week's True Detective? I hope we can talk about it.
oh
later.
yeah.
Okay,
So
big episode.
I watch these episodes like as soon as I finish, I watch it again.
Yes, good
know?
idea.
Just because you can miss so much, man.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell our audience that at the top of the hour, which is in 40 minutes, we're going to do a deep dive into True Detective Season 4, Night
Great show.
Country.
Yep.
It's the final episode of the season is coming, and this last episode on Sunday was explosive. So if you have not seen True Detective, you got 40 minutes to watch 5 episodes, 5 1-hour episodes, and get caught up. But before you do that, don't miss Bear State of Affairs with Johnny Santucci. He's coming up right now.
All right, Bears State of Affairs 2024 NFL season, off season week 5. What's happening, Barflies? Well, first off, let's congratulate the 3 former Bears who made it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame: Devin Hester, Steve McMichael, and Julius Peppers. Woo! Long time coming. All right, well, Super Bowl 58 is over, and the Chiefs are looking like the new dynasty, much to Dan Aguirre's chagrin, after a 25-22 win over the San Francisco 49ers. It's their 3rd Super Bowl win in the last 5 years. What's significant about Patrick Mahomes' 3rd Super Bowl ring is that it puts increased pressure on Bears general manager Ryan Poles this offseason. Yeah, as the consensus top player in the 2024 draft is most often compared to Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, it's another factor in what I call decision gate. Yeah. What's Poles gonna do? Decision gate. Here we go, Danny. Yeah, well, I don't envy Ryan Poles. No, sir. He has arguably the most difficult decision in Bears franchise history. He has to decide what's more valuable, plan A or plan B. Plan A, keep Justin Fields, trade down for a massive draft haul, and build around Justin Fields by acquiring a stud receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr., more offensive linemen, pass rushers, and other premium players with plenty of cap dollars and free agency. Or plan B, draft a quarterback on a rookie contract like Caleb Williams, but losing out on a massive draft haul and spending more dollars on premium players and free agency. Technically, Poles could draft a quarterback and keep Justin Fields. You remember the Seahawks acquired Matt Flynn and then drafted Russell Wilson in the draft that year. So while that's certainly possible, it doesn't seem likely. Poles loves trading for picks. He loves moving around in the draft. He might feel that building the roster is the horse and not the cart. You see, GMs like Ryan Poles and others who take or have taken the Chicago GM job face a very real existential crisis. It's a crisis that's been lurking around since the days of Sid Luckman. Get the quarterback position right, whether in the draft or otherwise, or face an early exit from the Bears GM job. Like today's barroom guest Jerry Angelo always said, we're fixated on the quarterback position. But the Chicago Bears have really not been able to find, develop, or build around a quarterback. Whether it's bad timing, bad coaching, bad drafting, or likely all three, Bears fans have been left asking the question, why has Chicago not been a winning franchise in the last 3 decades? Well, let me break it down for you. Number one, the Bears have had a lack of high draft picks. Since 2009, that's 15 drafts, Chicago has had 10 first-round picks and 27 day 2 picks. Those are both below the league average. Number two, like it or not, the Bears have missed on first-round picks. Since 1990, these are the Bears' first-round picks. Mark Carrier, good.
Great pick.
Stan Thomas, bust. Alonzo Spellman, below average.
He's okay.
Curtis Conway,
mental
good.
health issues.
Yeah.
I love me some Conway. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm just excited about what you're saying.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Curtis Conway, good pick. John Theory, bust. Rashawn Salam, bust. Walt Harris, good. Curtis Enos, bust. Cade McNown, bust. Urlacher, Hall of Fame. David Terrell, bust. Mark Colombo, bust. Michael Haynes, bust. Rex C. Grossman, average. Tommy Harris, good. Cedric Benson, below average. Greg Olson, good. Chris Williams, bust. Gabe Karimi, bust. Shea McClellan of Chicken Dinner Road, bust. Kyle Long, good. Kyle Fuller, good. Kevin White, bust. Leonard Floyd, decent. Mitchell Trubisky, below average. Roquan Smith, good. Justin Fields, jury's out. Darnell Wright, looking good. Number three, like I said, the Bears have not been good at finding, developing, and supporting their quarterbacks. If last Sunday's Super Bowl showed us anything, it's that quarterbacks need a great supporting cast, like an above-average offensive line, skilled receivers, and above-average play callers and coaches who can develop and give a proper assessment of their quarterback.
Yep.
If the Bears do decide to go the rookie quarterback route, this is easily the best supporting cast for a rookie quarterback that the Bears have ever had. They have a great number one wide receiver in DJ Moore. They have an opportunity at another dynamic wide receiver in the NFL draft and another in free agency. They have a good tight end in Cole Kmet. They have an emerging offensive line that needs a center and more depth. They have a turnover-generating defense that'll give the offense multiple extra possessions. And they now have an offensive coordinator with experience and a track record of developing quarterbacks. Two factors loom large: resetting the clock and quarterback salary with a rookie, and gambling that the rookie pulls a Brock Purdy and gets you to the playoffs quickly, or gambling that Justin Fields figures it all out and gets you to the promised land, in which case you have to pay up on Fields' next contract. All I know is that Ryan Poles can praise Caleb Williams publicly and hold out long enough to drive up his price for that number one overall pick. Building that price up to a generational draft haul, rather than picking the quarterback people say is generational, might be the only thing in this draft that truly is generational. That is Bears state of affairs.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Another winner there, Tooch. Very well done.
Might be the only thing that's generational is the draft haul that Poles gets.
Yeah.
Just, be prepared.
That is so perfectly said, Johnny Santucci. Dan, any comments on Tooch's thoughts?
I loved it. I like the rundown of draft picks and the ones that aren't so good,
we haven't had a lot of, some of there were some gap years in there, to be honest. We didn't have picks, and after the Cutler trade, after the Trubisky trade, there were some years where we didn't even have a number one or a first round draft pick. So, arguably bad drafting has put us in the situation where we are, which is year 3 of a Poles rebuild.
Indeed. Did you check out any of the roll-ins that we had before too?
Oh yeah. I was listening the whole time. Yep.
Yeah. So this whole thing regarding chasing, here it is. I think we weren't finished with the ESPN thing. And I want to continue to play this because I think this is where they talk about, Patrick Mahomes is this unicorn, and we should not have any expectations that the Bears can land at. Let me play that.
I understand that point of view. I'm just saying that I'm speaking for Justin Fields fans that would say, hey, man, you know what? This guy is growing as a quarterback, and we haven't seen the best of him yet. All you can look at if you are Ryan Poles is the quarterback rating of not in the top 20, the EPA and the play per game for him, not in the top 20, the success rate, not in the top 20. You can look at all the numbers and say that's an underachieving quarterback. But there will be some that will say, well, if you supply him with enough talent, then he'll be able to pull the nose up on his career. And I'm saying that if you are the Chicago Bears, you have a choice. You have a quarterback that you evaluated, which is not your quarterback. Justin Fields is not Ryan Poles' quarterback as far as the selection. Ryan Poles didn't select Justin Fields. This was all an evaluation last year and this year. If Ryan Poles feels that he can upgrade the position with Caleb Williams, he better be right. Because you're pushing all your chips in the middle of the table, and you're going to supply this rookie quarterback with an offensive coordinator that many people like. You're going to upgrade it with a better offensive line and weapons. You just better be right. That's all. I mean, you passed on the quarterback class last year to get DJ Moore and draft picks. Nothing wrong with that. But this year, as I've been telling you all along, Cap, it's hard to pass up on that quarterback class twice. Can't you get? I mean, to be in a position to get 2 number 1 selections in the draft, pretty good. I mean, to be in that position. So this year, this is the position for you to find a quarterback, and that quarterback better be the guy. Now, the question that we have on the table is about the patience end of it.
I'm more than willing to be patient. I do think they're a playoff team next year. I do.
What is that? But what do you base that on? I mean, again,
defense is trending in an amazingly positive direction.
Yeah, but they can't score 30 points. What I'm saying is that offensively speaking, you can upgrade the weapons. Like, we know DJ Moore is good. We know Cole Kmet's good. You know that there's a couple of guys on the offensive line that will be the anchors moving forward. Mm-hmm. But again, there's more question marks than answers to the Bears. There are more question marks than answers to the Chicago Bears, especially on the offense, and that is the quarterback position. That's a question mark.
If you were in another city and you went, we got to get better at quarterback, what are we picking? 24th. It's not going to probably happen. That's a fluke if you find someone sitting at 24 that comes in as a rookie and plays. Russell Wilson in the 3rd round, going to a ready-made team, by the way, that's a fluke. That doesn't normally happen. We've got the number 1 pick. Oh, and there happens to be a great quarterback class. We control the draft here.
What do you guys think about what's being said there? Such, I see you nodding. What do you think?
Well, it makes a great point. Like, Ryan Poles didn't draft Justin Fields, but he did come out. I have a quote here. It almost made it into Bears State of Affairs. That let me see if I can find it here.
While you're looking for that, the one quote, and I've been trying to find it so I can share it with everyone, and I think people have heard it. Ryan Poles talked about he needs to be floored with whoever comes in who could potentially be the next Bears quarterback, and he says he's got to be a leader in the locker room. And boy, you got to believe that he said that as a message. I'm not going to draft Caleb Williams if he doesn't check out as a true leader, because I got a true leader now.
Yeah, I found that quote. It said, Ryan Poles, we're going to turn every stone to make sure we're going to make a sound decision for our organization.
That's it. Yeah.
I did think Justin got better. I think he can lead this team, but at the same time, this is a unique situation.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Dan?
Well, I don't want to conflate my fandom for Fields with maybe this is the right pick. I'm not trying to talk out of both sides of my mouth. I'm not qualified to make that decision. I think I love Fields, and I think he's going to get better. But maybe the answer's staring right in front of me. And maybe it is Caleb Williams. And I just don't know. I'm not trying to be wishy-washy. I'm not an expert. I'm just a fucking Bears fan. And at this point, goddamn, I don't care who leads the quarterback. I mean, just as long as we win.
It's funny, though, Dan, I was thinking, what's going to be Dan's reaction if the Bears do draft Caleb Williams? And I almost immediately answered that thought by saying he's going to be fine with it. He's going to move on. He's going to He's going to take those jerseys that he has of Justin Fields. How many?
I'll keep them. I got 4 of them.
There they are.
I'll keep them. I mean, and if they draft Caleb, I'll probably buy the Caleb one. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
When Jim McMahon got traded to San Diego, I was 8 years old, about to turn 9, and I wanted to go to the Chargers, and my dad gave me a fucking speech about how you have to be loyal. And like, you're a Bears fan, so you're stuck. You're a Bears fan. You don't change teams.
I'm trying to think about, like, what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes, because I mean, Aldo and I both like Patrick Mahomes because he could throw the ball a million yards, and right. we love the arm, but his college tape wasn't the greatest, man. I mean, his footwork was terrible. He threw, he always he even kind of does it today. He jumps up in the air to throw the fucking ball. It's right. Like he leaves his feet and throws, it's like, rather than, throwing from a strong base or sound platform, but he sat behind Alex Smith for what, a year or two?
One season.
Jordan Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers for a few seasons. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for 4 seasons. I mean, who's Caleb Williams going to sit behind? With Justin Fields, we had he sat behind Andy Dalton. Right?
For 2 games. For 2 games.
And Andy Dalton was history.
Right.
Right. But all accounts, Shane Waldron has developed some guys. I mean, Geno Smith turned his career around in Seattle. And then when Drew Lock was in there for a limited time, he didn't play terrible. He was able to be serviceable. And then you look at the situation that Brock Purdy's in, and he has a great team around him. It helps that Purdy's been pretty smart with the ball. He makes good decisions. His coaches have really coached him up well. But he's got, the best running back in the NFL, a really good offensive line, one of the best tight ends in the NFL, 2 really good wide receivers. Even the receivers that are behind those top 2 are good. And then 49ers have a damn good defense too. So
here's the thing then, Tooch and Dan. Love your guys' response to this. So let's say the Bears do due diligence. They check out Caleb, they check out Jaden, they check out Drake, they check out all the top quarterbacks, and they say, you know what? We like them. They do some of them do some fantastic things, but none of them is a sure thing. None of us in the scouting department feels like it's 100% sure thing, and that we feel that continuing to invest in Justin and developing him is the better way to go. So if that's what your scouting department tells you, are you going to say, well, what's the media going to say? What are the fans going to say who are tired of? No, you got to say our trust is in Shane Waldron. Our trust is in Marvin Harrison living up to all the fucking praise he's getting, because he's getting Caleb Williams type praise. And so he should be on the Bears. And our trust should be in an offensive lineman who's going to protect Justin Fields better at left tackle than Broderick Jones, or a pass rusher who's going to help create more turnovers so that Justin Fields can have half fields. That's the key right here. I think this is the crux of what's going to happen over the next 3 months as the Bears and the scouting department collaborate on who's going to be chosen.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
All right, man. I mean, now that we settled world problems.
It's arguably, if you're picking at the top part of the draft, whether you trade down a spot or 2, or you keep your number 1 pick and pick the quarterback, you're going to miss out on Marvin Harrison Jr. If you keep the number 1 pick, and you have to use your number 9 pick on the number 2 or 3 wide receiver.
Highly likely, unless Malik Neighbors is chosen, because Greg Gabriel feels that Malik Neighbors has a very good shot of being chosen before Marvin Harrison because of what he does with yards after the catch.
Yeah, Barrelissimo loves Neighbors. He said Barrelissimo says the best wide receiver in the draft is Neighbors, but I haven't broken down enough film to, corroborate. But Marvin Harrison has that really high floor. It's a very safe pick if you're, you want your number 1 pick to work out.
And he would complement this team so well, right? Out of Ohio State, where Justin Fields played, ran track with DJ Moore. He was younger, of course, 4 years younger, but they ran track on the same team. So there's this kind of synergy that would exist between them. He's an X receiver. He's bigger. He's 6'4". He can block downfield. He's the perfect thing. I mean, all of this zeal for Caleb Williams, I think, can be easily transformed to Marvin Harrison, because what he would do for this team is elevate Justin Fields from a promising quarterback to a really good quarterback. I truly believe that can happen. Is he still going to have some mistakes where he might hold on to the ball a little too long? Is he still going to have some mistakes where, he makes some of those Fields mistakes? Of course he is. And we see it every week with every quarterback. Did Brock Purdy make mistakes in the Super Bowl? Of course he did. But did Patrick Mahomes? Of course he did. All quarterbacks do. And I think that sometimes we judge Fields a little too harshly. We need to give him a little bit of faith. I've been ranting too much tonight. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Bears, like every offseason, they need so many things. There's so many holes to plug. They need it. But free agency, comes before the draft. So Ryan Poles is going to this is also another important question, is like, Poles has been a guy that kind of like his first year as Bears GM, he kind of sat back and did the second wave of free agents. He didn't make the big splash, but that was also the tank year, and then the next year he made a little better splash in free agency with some of the players he picked. But the free agency is going to determine if they pick up, a pass rusher in free agency. I expect they'll go center, because you probably don't want to leave, the line calls to a rookie center, although there are some good centers in this draft.
Yes, I agree.
The pass rusher, it'd be better to get a rookie pass rusher on a rookie contract. Guys like Brian Burns and Bryce Huff are going to be expensive. Daniil Hunter's been linked to the Bears as well, and he's a good one, but he also is going to be expensive. He's almost 30 years old, I think, if he's not 30 already.
I think he's 29 or 30. Yeah. I think you're right. I do agree. Dan, what are your thoughts about, investing either with a big free agent contract or a high draft pick on a dominating pass rusher, so that where you bookend Montez Sweat and you improve the defense, you improve the offense by improving the defense? What do you think of that?
I'm open to that too, but I'm also open to a free agent center. I feel like that has to be solved. We can't just keep putting like Band-Aids on the issue here, or a finger in the dike, so to speak. They have to get that solved, and maybe other players on the offensive line has to be better. It can't just be plug and hope the way it has been since Jay Cutler's been here. The last time we had a really good offensive line, we went to the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm not saying that's what's going to do it, but right. But the 06 team was the best offensive line we've had in 25 years.
Yep.
So, I'm open to spending some. I mean, you got the cap space for a fucking reason, man. And it's just going to keep increasing year after year. And maybe that's Taylor Swift's, her influence, what have you, but we'll take it. So, what are we, like the 8th or 9th best on cap space this year?
I think it's 8, yeah.
Yeah, so spend the money, man, and then you sign and draft well, and let's go.
Go ahead.
Do you guys think it's possible that Ryan Poles thinks wide receiver is the more important position than quarterback right now? Look at his track record with wide receivers. He spent a second on Chase Claypool, didn't work out. Spent a third on Velus Jones. It hasn't really worked out. Spent a fourth on Tyler Scott. Looks like it hasn't really worked out. Do we even trust him to pick a wide receiver?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, that does worry me, because so much of our impending success depends on, good player acquisition, and Poles doesn't have a sterling record. This morning, I think you mentioned it, Tooch, that Jerry Angelo, former general manager of the Chicago Bears, said on GTF that as long as you don't miss out on the big picks, you don't want to fuck up that first round draft pick like the Penn State defensive end that the Bears drafted with Greg and Jerry. And there was an offensive lineman too. Do you remember him?
Chris Williams.
That's him.
Chris Williams. He was in Bears State of Affairs. Chris Williams. I mean, that was the whole point of that little section of Bears State of Affairs, is that we have not fucking drafted good, man.
That's
We
right.
just haven't drafted good the past 15 to 20 years of drafting. We haven't drafted good.
You're absolutely right. As much as I love Greg and Jerry Angelo, there were some mistakes. And again, it happens to every NFL team. Look at Bill Belichick. He's probably got a much worse drafting record than Angelo and Gabriel. It's absolutely true. Bill Belichick has been awful in the draft.
Jerry picked a guy in the 3rd round that could jump out of a pool.
Oh my gosh. What was that guy's name?
Jerron Gilbert.
Yeah, Gilbert.
Jerron Gilbert.
Oh my god.
Look at him. He could jump right out of a fucking pool. He couldn't play a lick of football, but
Oh my gosh.
I love Jerry though. That was a great interview.
Oh man. You know what? I got a text from Greg saying that Aldo, he said Jerry Angelo told me that Aldo, he seems like a really great guy. And I'm like, man, you just made my fucking day.
Yeah. Good thing he didn't
He would have drafted me and I would have fucked up.
Good thing he didn't have Tucson. I would have afraid what he would have said about me.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. All right, let's finish up with a couple of more Bears things. If anybody in the chat has a Bears question, something that they want us to address, that would be.
I got a question for you guys. How much importance do you put on left tackle?
Not as much as in yesteryear, because the ball gets out a lot quicker, but it's still a very important part of the game because it's the blind side. And particularly when you have a young quarterback who is not adept at, feeling the pass rush, I think it's very, very important.
And pressure comes up the middle a lot too. That's the
much more than ever before. Yes.
Team scheme to put pressure right in the quarterback's face.
Yeah. What do you think, Dan? Is a left tackle important to you?
I mean, it is we have to get an offensive line that, I'm not saying it's going to be as good as Dallas, but we have to get a line that we're proud of and that we're we've drafted, we've put money into this. You have to invest into it.
Yep.
I mean, again, Darnell Wright was the first offensive lineman that we've taken in the top 10 since 1983 with Jim Covert. There you go. You're not putting your money into it. If your roof is caving in, it doesn't matter how fucking good your floor is.
Yeah. Something that's rarely talked about is I think it's important to have an offensive line group that is well conditioned, because what happens is teams that wear down the defensive line as the game goes on with their run blocking and pass blocking, they wear them down. That's so important. You can have a better defensive line, lose against an average offensive line if you play call effectively so that you're continually busting that defensive line, getting them tired, having them run to the left, having them run to the right, having them rush upfield on a 7-step drop, doing whatever is necessary to just wear them down. That's rarely talked about in today's football. And I think that the Chicago Bears are getting there. My biggest concern is not so much the left tackle, John, as it is the left guard. Tevin Jenkins, I love him. He's so important to this game because he's a mean son of it.
That's the dude we have to worry about being hurt too much, not Justin Fields.
Exactly. Great point. What do you think about the left guard position, Tooch?
You could like you guys were saying, you get by with what's that guy's name? Is it Braxton Jones?
Yes, Braxton Jones.
Current one. Part of me feels like, look, I love Tevin Jenkins, but I know guard is there's some decent guards in this draft, but Poles doesn't have a ton of draft picks. I think we only have 5 in this draft. Is that right? We have one, and we have 2 picks, six picks, right?
6, right?
6 picks, and one of them's a pick we got from Miami.
Yes,
but we have
Won't we get one of those compensation picks since Getsy went to the Raiders?
No, that'll be next year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what we've got 2 firsts, no second, 1/3, 2 4s, and a 5. We don't have
no
a 6 and
no
a 7. Right. And I don't really care about the 6 and 7, to be honest with you, because I think that this draft, because there's fewer juniors coming out of this draft than in any recent draft, there isn't that much depth. If anything, I would say let's try to get more draft picks in that 4th round. When the Steelers potentially sending 2 4th-round draft picks to the Bears, not that I want to trade Justin Fields, but if we were to get 4 4th-round draft picks, that to me would be a great way to close this draft, get rid of the 5th, and we can all go party and have fun with our draft picks.
Yeah, center is a huge position of importance, like Dan said.
Absolutely.
Have to. Yeah, I mean.
So what do you think about the Seahawks center who played for Shane Waldron? He's available. PFF has him as the 7th highest ranked free agent center.
How old is he?
He's Evan Brown. He is, oh my gosh, it doesn't say his age there. Let me see if I can go somewhere else and find it real quickly.
I haven't done my research on.
He's 6'3", 320 pounds.
Yeah.
Born in 1996, so that makes him 27 years old.
That sounds like, I mean, not by the size, but about when we got Roberto Garza, who was a fine football player. Of course, he started out as guard until Olin left, but I think that in theory sounds like a good acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Greg has mentioned a few times is potentially, and he doesn't know this for sure, but because they've changed guards to center so many times with the Chicago Bears, what about J. Tyree Carter? Can he play center? And he's certainly shown that he's a pretty good guard and should be in the mix for consideration. I would love to see if we can convert somebody.
We don't know how good he is either.
Can we please just get rid of Cody Whitehair? Could this be the offseason?
Yeah,
I mean, he's got to go. He's got to go.
Be here. He won't be here next year. He's gone. I mean,
and just switch. Go ahead, Tuch.
The cap savings, it'd be like him. I mean, it will be Cody Whitehair before they get rid of Eddie Jackson.
Yes,
it isn't a very deep draft for safety.
Right. Well, that's a great point because we were asked earlier, who was it? I think it was Adam. Yeah, it was Adam. What do you guys think we should do about safety? Bojack is awesome, but I think he has played his last day as a Bear. And he posted on social media a kind of cryptic message that led many Bears fans to believe perhaps the negotiations are not negotiations because he's got a contract, but I'm sure the Bears have already approached his agent and said, by the way, you're taking a pay cut if you want to play next year.
Yeah.
So maybe he says, fuck this shit, I'm out.
He has to know that he hasn't played. He got paid for his 2018 season. That's why he got paid. He has to know he hasn't lived up to that contract.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? If we suck on air, if we, you know how it is. After the show's over, we usually text like, "Oh, that was a really good show. That was so much better than last week," or something. You know, as a man, if you've played poorly or if we've done shitty on air. So if you're a member of the Bears, he knows that too.
Well, and the thing with Eddie is his body is breaking down. Greg Braggs and I interviewed him at a charity softball event, and I was bigger than Eddie Jackson and taller than Eddie Jackson. I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, good thing he knows how to play the game of football. But, it was astonishing to me that he was a professional football player because he looked more like a softball player than a football player, to be honest with you. And I think his body is breaking down. He's not anxious to get involved in hits. He's a smart player. He leads that defensive back room. He makes the proper play calls. But, yeah, his time is done, man. Time to draft one. I like this Taylor Nubin. Taylor Nubin, the safety? I keep mocking him.
Real solid.
Yeah. I in my mock drafts, I tried to trade for a second-round pick to pick up Tyler Nubin because he's an interception machine, and he's that versatile safety where you can have him or Jaquan now play the free safety position and the other guy move into the box and really fuck up offenses with that versatility.
We got to sign our corner still, too. I know we talked about how he's not going anywhere. That was in the presser, but no deal yet,
I got a feeling they're just going to fucking franchise tag him because I got a, what I've heard is that Jalen is asking for about $23 million, and I don't think he's going to get that from the Bears. I don't think so.
Yeah, you could. I mean, if Jalen walks, a comparable player would be like the Chiefs' L'Jarius Sneed, who he shuts down number one receivers. Didn't have the, he played a good game, didn't have the best game against the Niners in the Super Bowl, but he's definitely up there, in the area of skill of Jalen Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
But safety, a guy you could get would be like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He's a fucking dick, but he'd be our dick.
Yeah, exactly.
He gets into fights with everybody. That's the thing. Bears probably hate him, but you're stealing them away from the Lions. So.
Right. I think that in today's NFL, it's really important to have a great defensive backfield and a pass rush. But I would prioritize the defensive backs because it's such a passing league now. You got to have guys that can play at least a decent zone, but also can really match up man to man, because you're going to have to do that a lot more in the NFL as this league continues to progress with passing offenses. We'll see. Fucking zone always scares me because great quarterbacks can beat zones almost blindfolded.
Yeah, that's what Romo was talking about during the Super Bowl. He's like, God, you can't be in this soft zone. And I thought at that exact minute, I was like, God, are you listening, Matt Eberflus?
Mm-hmm.
The Bears were so much more successful in the second half of the year when he got out of that fucking zone.
Yep. And I think that a lot of defenses are just sort of throwing their hands up. I know that you're going to beat our zone, so we're just going to play back and make the tackle in front of us and not let you get behind us. And we're going to bend and bend and bend, but we're not going to fucking break, because once it gets inside the red zone, we're going to lock you down. I think that's what's happening with the Bears defense. All right, guys, let's see. It is almost that time for True Detective. Why don't we start a little early, and then that way we can then talk about John Santucci's sex life, since he already gave us a preview of it. All right, so True Detective Season 4, Night Country.
Yep.
If you have not watched it, those of you, goodbye, because we're gonna give a lot of shit away. But
you and I talked a little bit about it after Dan left. But
that's right, last week.
I think one of the main things, Dan, that Aldo and I were talking about is how, and I know I'm pretty sure you've watched all the other seasons.
Yes.
True Detective always kind of dangles this supernatural explanation in front of you, and then they kind of pull that away, and there's a reasonable explanation, But is that? Do you feel that was what's going to happen towards the end? I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this wasn't happening. There's no extraterrestrial or ancient microorganism that's causing all this ruckus.
I think that they're trying to imply that there is, in some regards, at least 100%. Toward that indigenous, what's the word? The ethnicity. I forget what they're called. The Native Americans there. Even the police officer, remember, she saw she was walking toward the sea to kill herself too, just like her sister. And the lady was like, well, didn't you hear me? And pulled her back. So it does seem that there's something going on with their race of Native Americans.
Yeah, I agree. Let me step back just a little bit, because those who are not intending to watch the series or may not watch it for a while and don't mind some spoilers. So it's this basic story sits around these two detectives, Jodie Foster on the right and this actress on the left. I forget her name, but she is really sensational. Yeah. Oh my gosh! Let me see. I think I got cast list. Kaylee Reese. She plays Trooper Evangeline Navarro, and she's kind of a crucial character here because she's the one that has had these supernatural experiences, and Jodie Foster saying there is no fucking God, there is no supernatural, there are no ghosts and so forth. And so there's this tension between them because of their spiritual beliefs. And the main crime, there's basically two of them. There's these guys who are frozen in ice. They worked for a scientific laboratory that we found out in this past episode also was getting donations from the government. So perhaps the government is involved.
Yeah, the mining company was funding.
The mining company was Yeah, and these guys were, besides doing scientific research, were also responsible for measuring the pollution going into the air. And all the native people have been having pollution type health issues,
the water,
including stillbirths, the water, and so forth. Right. And then again, another big giveaway here is Jodie Foster and that other officer, officer, what the fuck is her name again? Navarro. Thank you. They had this questionable past where this guy on the far left, John Wheeler, he was apparently committed suicide, but the guy on the right has access to information that he didn't commit suicide. These two officers shot this motherfucker, and he's holding that over their heads. And then the one last
Navarro killed him. I think we're led to believe that because she doesn't like men beating on women. Yeah, that's her thing.
Exactly. Thank you for adding that.
She was
please jump in.
Put a bullet in his head. He's
I wanted to give one criticism this week to see what you all thought.
Okay.
Because the show finally, it's been such a slow burn that this week I felt like it was the first time we really got a payoff.
Mm-hmm.
But you remember when her sister died and she picked that fight with that dude that gave her the finger that she arrested in the first episode?
Yes.
And she gets her ass kicked and like all of her wounds are gone in like 2 hours.
I totally agree. I rewatched the episode before the show because I knew we were going to talk about it tonight, and I noticed that then. I was like, holy shit, her fucking wounds are gone.
She looked like she had been in a boxing fight.
Yeah.
She had been fighting John Buffon.
Yeah. She no longer had the face bruises and stuff.
Yes.
And it was supposed to be the next day, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was a real weakness of the show.
It might have been a few days though, because I think we jumped from like 6 to 14. I'm almost positive, but I'm not sure because the last.
But would that be cleared in 8 days?
Yeah, still exactly. Would it be cleared in 8 days? I don't know.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. For those of you who like sex scenes, in episode 1, she has a great sex scene.
She's a big girl, man.
She is.
She's got thick legs.
Very nice, thick,
tall.
Suckable, succulent.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to start jerking off here in a second. Let's talk about something else. All right. So this last image I want to share is just the kind of the spiritual aspect of it. That circular thing was in season 1.
Yeah.
Do you remember it, guys, in season 1?
Yes.
Yep.
And they mentioned the Tuttles when they were talking about when they were breaking down the tax records. The one parent company was Tuttle. That's that religious organization from season 1.
From season 1. Yep.
See that, Zach? There is a connection there. There is a connection. And then the one-eyed polar bear. What do you guys think about that?
Well, there's another connection, too. It's like Rust's dad or something was Rose's husband or relative. His name was Travis Cole.
Yeah, we talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, the lady that's going to help the younger cop bury his dad in the ice, she's the one that was with Russ Cole's dad.
Yep. Yeah, Rose.
She's the one that found all the bodies from Soulz because of Russ Cole's dad.
Yep, she was his ghost came and led her to the crime scene or the body.
That was very Twin Peaks-ish, how he was dancing and stuff. It seemed like something from Twin Peaks.
We still don't know why the dudes were naked. It's like
that's right.
That's still like something like, and it wasn't like they all took their clothes off and folded them and shit. What were they doing out there?
Yeah. That's part of the mystery.
Salal, man, that's a wild workplace, Aldo.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing I don't get yet, and maybe because it's been played so many times, whether it was in just the background or the straight up Beatles, but that twist and shout has been utilized almost in every episode. And sometimes it'll be in the subtitles because I watch it with the subtitles so I don't miss something in the dialogue. It'll be something where you can barely hear it, and the subtitles will be saying twist and shout. So it is real. I don't know what the meaning is behind it. It started out with that clip from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but that has been utilized almost every episode. Just like you said, the polar bear. I don't really know the significance of the polar bear or the Beatles song, but it is definitely important in a vague sense.
Yeah, it's missing one eye, too.
Yes, exactly. As the polar bear teddy bear is missing one eye, and it's all very mysterious. I doubt they're gonna be able to wrap everything up in one last episode. What do you
I
guys
hope it's
think?
an hour and a half or something.
Is
Yeah,
it one?
me
There's
too.
only one more episode, huh?
Yeah, I
Yes.
hope it's longer, at least longer than the standard 60 minutes. I hope.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like I mean, the last episode kind of like dropped a bunch of like bombshells on us, with the I forget the lady's name who runs the mine, but she's like they cannot find that cave,
Right.
Yeah.
You got it. I know I promised you the sheriff's job, right? The chief of police of Ennis, but I couldn't deliver. She could say couldn't deliver it once.
And he was going to kill Jodie Foster, right? That's the reason the son shot him.
Absolutely, because you see him slowly rising the gun up.
And he told that lady, like Tooch was talking about, he goes, I'm not a killer. But clearly he fucking is, because she just has to say, don't even tell me the details, and he's willing to murder everybody.
Yeah, he killed Otis, like no problem.
Yep. Yeah, his son knew that his dad was crooked and was disappointed in him. That's why he pulled the trigger. He had to make a choice between my boss and my father, and he picked killing his father. So, all right. Esquire magazine has 4 theories on the finale that are based on ideas from people on Reddit. Reddit has these.
I haven't seen this yet. All this is going to be good.
All right. So, theory number 1: Navarro is behind everything because
no way.
She has split personalities and she has secretly committed the murders, and that's rapidly gaining traction on Reddit. What do you guys think?
No way. She killed.
It's possible.
What's her name? The lady that they're trying to track down from the cave.
Yeah, Annie Kautok.
Annie K. No way she killed her. She cares too much. I don't see it.
If she has split personalities, she's the one experiencing all of these spiritual messages to her. At times it does look like she
walked out onto the ice. She walked out. She almost died.
That's right. I was calling you. You didn't hear me.
Yeah. Where'd you go? Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Yeah.
So I think there is a glimmer of possibility. And she raped that guy too. So it's like
I just don't see it.
I hope that's not the case because I love her character so much. But I believe that Navarro is going to have a big role in terms of us learning what's behind these killings.
They kind of played around with that in the last season with Mahershala Ali, where he couldn't remember what the hell he did and what happened. Remember, he had the memory issue.
That's a good point. Good point. Yes.
Maybe they're taking it a little one step further. I don't know. It's possible, but I don't know. I'm kind of like leaning. It's possible, but there's got to be another explanation that I might like better.
Well, Tooch, you make a good point there because these are new showrunners. It's not done by the guy who's done the first 3 seasons.
Yep.
And one of the things that we discovered is that she is kind of, for lack of a better way of putting it, paying homage to some of the other seasons with the circular thing.
Yeah.
She's trying to connect things. So what you just said there, Tooch, kind of makes sense.
No.
All right, here's theory number 2. And you guys are going to help me with this one. The crab ladies are the ones to blame. It says B and Blair, the 2 women who work at the crab company factory, keep popping up in the background. When B was asked about the spiral, she seemed nervous. Later, Blair is in the laundromat when Navarro talks about the ice caves. She's also missing 2 fingers on her right hand. In a blink if you miss it moment from episode 2, Pryor tells Danvers that one of the scientist's shoes had a handprint on it that was missing 2 fingers. What do you guys think about the crab?
Wow. I didn't notice any of that, and I feel like I've watched episodes multiple times too.
Pryor said that?
That's what it says according to this Esquire.
I don't remember that. I have to look at that.
Yeah. I found this fascinating, and the whole idea that the crab ladies might be involved on it, that came to me way out of fucking left field, saying, holy shit, can that possibly be it? And Zach says the ham sandwich did it.
Very possible.
All right, theory number 3. It was mass psychosis. Do you remember in the episode where all of the antler deers are just jumping off the cliff
very
in the
first scene
beginning?
of the show?
Yeah. So it says here in the article, written by a guy named Josh Rosenberg.
I was going to say Josh Rosen, the NFL bust. He's writing articles now.
He's doing something useful now.
Switch careers.
For we do not know what beasts the night dreams when its hours grow too long for even God to be awake. For those who still believe that nothing supernatural is going on, this theory is for you. The above quote is from a Robert Chambers book. The collection of short stories has served as a major inspiration for both season 1 and season 4 Night Country, including Ennis' state of perpetual night. It's simple. Take away the daylight and your body will be affected. Shared psychotic disorder is something that happens when you're in the dark for a long period of time. Now, that sounds a little too scientific for me, but it could be.
It seems like the easy way out, though, doesn't it?
It does. That one does. Yes. What do you think, Dan?
That means it's probably more likely then, since it's the easy way out.
That's right. And the final one is the myth.
Wasn't there a quote at the beginning of the very first show?
Yeah.
Was it by that Robert Chambers author?
I
can't remember. There's a very first. I can't. For some reason, I don't know. I can't search on my whatever.
Why? What's going on there?
I can't search in Safari. It's like
I pay you all this money, Tooch.
I know. It's like Google won't come up. Google just stops it. Like I try a different, maybe Bing or something.
I don't know, man. I like the idea of mass.
I
like the idea of mass psychosis, but I wish there would have been more clues to kind of lead me to believe that might be the case. But who knows? It could happen. All right, the final one that I got for you is the myth of Sedna. Night Country goes full supernatural. Here's what they write under that title. On the reverse side of the last theory, maybe Night Country isn't giving us supernatural red herrings. In the Inuit story of Sedna, a girl becomes a goddess after she's thrown into the ocean by her father. In some tellings of the story, her fingers are also cut off, which then becomes the sea creatures. Early in Night Country, Pryor discovers that his son Darwin drew a blue female with severed fingers. The showrunner this year, Issa Lopez, later confirmed on Instagram that this was a direct connection to Sedna. Is it possible that everyone saying she's awake could signal that the goddess Sedna is angry about the pollution from the scientists and the mine?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that's the one thing I haven't been able to figure out is what the hell they're talking about when they say she's awake.
Yes.
Because initially I say, did they bring Annie Kotak back to life? Because they were experimenting with gene or life extension therapy or something up there with whether it was cryogenics or the organism microorganisms they had found that are millions of years old.
I love when Tooch talks about stories because it's clear that he's paying attention. I'm fucking smoking marijuana.
I have to watch it twice, and I don't think that's enough, man.
I agree. That's why I love this series. And my final question for you guys is, I truly believe this is the best season of True Detective.
No.
Really?
Well, season 1 was pretty damn good, but this is up there, man.
I love season 2 as well. I love season 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And season 3 was good too. I think this is probably the worst, but I like it. I mean, it's not like I think I'm giving it 1 star or something, but I know everyone else hated season 2, but I fucking love season 2. I love season 1. 3 was pretty good, and this is pretty good.
I like season 3, but I tell you, I can't really remember what it was about, so it didn't stick with me like this one. This one's very haunting. Not only do you have the dark and Alaska,
Well, season 2, was that the one with Rachel McAdams?
Vince Vaughn and Taylor.
That's all I remember of season 2 because I have a crush on Rachel McAdams.
She is so fucking hot.
Well, the things, if you don't mind me, give me 30 seconds on season 2.
Take 90.
Well, Vince Vaughn's character is, in theory, the bad guy because he's the mob guy. Yep. But in a world with all the police being corrupt, he's actually the one with the character in it. I like that.
Yeah.
He's actually the good guy. He's the protagonist, and you don't realize it until the end. And just his death at the end of it, man, like he gets stabbed and he's trying to get to his woman. He like all the guys see in season 1, everyone said it was a bromance between McConaughey and Harrelson. So all the women live in season 2 and the guys die. And Vince Vaughn's death, man, he gets stabbed and he's walking in the desert and he's reliving all these things, like people taunting him like black guys taunting him for being white when he was selling dope early in his life, and his dad calling him a pussy. And then eventually he sees his woman and he's like, we made it. We can live on, we can go. And she's like, no, you didn't. You died back there. And he looks back at his body and he falls. Oh man, that was so good.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. And Colin Farrell early in the season had a dream that he was shot to death, and his dad told him about it and said, you were surrounded by big trees, and that's how he dies in the finale, is what he dreamt about in season or episode like 2 or 3.
Yeah, it was a horrible death,
And again, he could have made it, but he wanted to talk to his son. It's just, man, it was so good. I thought season 2 was so misunderstood.
Yeah.
Can we please get back to how beautiful Rachel McAdams is?
So hot, man. She's
Oh
like
my gosh.
a little pepper pot, man.
Oh, and every role that she's in, I'm fascinated by her acting. I think she's a tremendous actor. The movie that she did that won an Academy Award, where she plays a reporter at the Boston newspaper that uncovered the Catholic priest.
Was that Spotlight?
Spotlight.
Yes,
yep.
yes, thank you, Spotlight.
Yeah.
She was
Spotlight.
great in that. It was, she played basically kind of a frumpy type of reporter, basic reporter. But even then, I thought she was so sexy. I've seen that movie 10 times.
The Notebook, she was beyond cute.
Yes.
So
oh my God.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Oh my.
And then she was the Sherlock Holmes, Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes love interest. She was really cute.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And don't forget Mean Girls. She's the one they made gain weight.
Yep. Great performance. That's the first time I saw her on. By the way, Lindsay Lohan is super hot in that Mean Girls movie. Holy shit. It's beautiful. And the other movie with Rachel McAdams, where she, it's a Wes Craven movie where not Billy Crudup, the guy who played Oppenheimer.
Cillian Murphy.
What's his name?
Cillian Murphy.
Oh, that's right. Cillian Murphy. Yes. Have you guys seen what is it called?
That? Red something.
Red something. Yes.
Yeah. It's the airplane, right?
That right.
Yeah.
She's on an airplane. She's a hotel director.
Red Eye.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Great movie. Wes Craven directs it, who's a master horror movie, but he went outside the genre just to create an action film.
Yeah.
Murphy and McAdams are passengers in a plane, and he forces her. I won't say how he goes about it, but he forces her to call back to the hotel and have this president or a government official put in a different room, so that way terrorists can kill him. So it becomes a race against time to try to save the lives of the diplomat. It's basically a cookie cutter Hollywood film, but because of Wes Craven, the director, and the fine performances by the two leads, it's a really worthwhile movie.
I'm surprised Liam Neeson's not in that.
He's in everything. Yeah.
Have you guys? Go ahead.
He was in fucking Schindler's List. He was like this serious actor and did Taken, and like it's taken his whole career into these shitty movies, I think.
I know.
Aldo 42 years ago, he was in Excalibur.
Oh man, I gotta watch that again just to see him in there. Does he have a prominent role in Excalibur?
Yeah, Sir Gawain.
Wow.
Yeah, he questions the Queen's honor and fights Lancelot.
Have you seen that movie, Dan?
I have not.
Oh,
I have not seen it.
It's over the top, man.
It's a gladiator film, but it's done with awesome
King
style.
Arthur. Yep, John Boorman film.
He's the guy that directed Exorcist 2.
Exorcist 2, and didn't he do? No, that was Frankenheimer. I was going to say Black Sunday.
Yeah, that was John Frankenheimer.
Yeah.
Great film. Great film.
Boorman has done some good things. There was one other thing I wanted to
Was Rachel McAdams in Wedding Crashers? I can't remember.
Yeah, she was.
Okay.
Yes.
I know
yes.
my buddy David Ekval said, yeah, but I can't remember. That was Vince Vaughn too, right?
Yeah, yeah. Vince Vaughn, Bradley Cooper, and
in,
the
True
Owen
Detective season 2.
Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson, good cast, absolutely good cast. And then the redhead in that Wedding Crashers film, who plays kind of a nymphomaniac who's all into Vince Vaughn, Isla something.
Oh, I love that he's coming at the table. That is so fucking fun. Oh God.
That's one of my favorite, full out, like the 40-Year-Old Virgin and Wedding Crashers. That's one of my favorite movies where I just want to fucking laugh. And that's a go-to movie, definitely. Isla Fisher. Thank you, David.
Yeah. I mentioned this to you in text one day, and because I was seeing the trailer for a movie. I was like, man, who is the worst leading man now? Is that Jason Statham or whatever his fucking name is? He's all in these same action movies.
You don't like Jason Statham?
Oh God, what a horrible leading man he is. He and Vin Diesel are like my least favorite actors, I think, of all time.
I gotta admit, I haven't seen many movies where he's the lead.
Jason Statham's great in Snatch.
Love him in Snatch.
He's he's not really the leading man. I guess he kind of is.
There's nobody that's the leading man.
It's a ensemble cast. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Brad Pitt is in it. Yeah, that's a great film.
Brad Pitt is hilarious, man.
Oh my gosh, he's got this thick Irish brogue. You can't understand a word he's fucking saying.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that shit at the theater and hated it because I couldn't understand it. But I think if I watch it with subtitles, it might be better. It's like the first time I met Chris, from England. I was like, what's Chris Watts saying? I have no fucking idea. It reminded me of that movie Snatch. And I love Chris Watts. That movie, though, I saw it at the theater because of Brad Pitt, and I hated it. But maybe if I watch it with subtitles.
There's I think it's Guy Ritchie, too. He's had Jason Statham in more than a few movies. There's one.
Yes, he has.
There's one that he just did recently, which was really good. It's about the armored car robberies. That's also an ensemble cast of Jason. And Dan, you'd really like that one. I just can't remember the name.
The movie that Guy Ritchie made that I love is the one that had Hugh Grant in it and Matthew McConaughey a few years ago. The Gentleman.
The Gentleman, yeah.
Oh, that is fucking great.
That's the same, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, and The Gentleman. Those are all the same, area of London and characters.
Oh, and Colin Farrell's in there too.
Colin Farrell, yep.
Yeah.
All right, can we talk about this comment here about Mr. Mayhem saying Brad Pitt? Mr. Mayhem, I love your opinions, but I think you're wrong on this one. Brad Pitt is not
underrated, if anything.
Exactly. He and other actors, male actors who are good-looking guys, I think they don't get the credit that they deserve. I gotta tell you, if you doubt me, rewatch, because you probably have seen it, The Fight Club. It's one of the best acted movies. Edward Norton and Brad Pitt in the two leads. Pitt playing Tyler Durden, this kind of mystical figure that plays a role in leading this moral journey through this film. Brad Pitt is phenomenal in that fucking movie. And I always thought that Brad Pitt, good looking guy, is probably stupid as hell. I watched the Fight Club DVD extra with David Fincher, Edward Norton, and Brad Pitt talking about the movie. I was fucking shocked. I was like, Brad Pitt actually has a fucking working brain. This guy is talking about his character and the film's themes in such an intellectual way. And Ed Norton is the guy that went to Yale or some school like that. He matched wits with him throughout this DVD extra. It's really good.
Did you see that Tarantino reportedly has hired Pitt to play the lead in his last movie?
Nice.
Oh, really?
That'll be his third.
Yeah, he's great in the Tarantino movies.
That'll be his third one, Inglourious Bastards and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, both great movies.
Absolutely.
The one Dan and Aldo should check out is called Wrath of Man, which is 2021. Have you seen it? It's got a great cast, man.
No.
It's got Jeffrey Donovan. I don't know if you know who he is.
I thought you said Jeffrey Dahmer at first.
That's what I thought too.
Jeffrey Donovan, Josh Hartnett, Scott Eastwood, who's Clint Eastwood's son, Andy Garcia, Holt McElhaney, Eddie Marsan. I mean, it's a great cast. And Statham, of course, is the lead singer. It's one of those like Pulp Fiction-esque type Reservoir Dogs type heist movies where they're kind of told maybe out of order a little bit, and there's some like different scenes are told, you reveal a little bit more about what's going on.
When you say Andy Garcia, it's hard for me not to say this immediately. Did they really have to do the incest thing on Godfather 3? I mean, I'm not buying that. That's like the worst part of the film. Yeah. Like they didn't know each other, but they knew each other, but he's in love with her now. I don't know if I you know what I'm talking about, right? It's okay.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Although, I mean, you like those, this is like armored truck robberies. It's very like complex plan and stuff.
Love it.
You know, the racetrack robbery one we were talking about last week.
Right.
It's in that similar vein, man. It's killer. Really excellent.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah.
Anything with Guy Ritchie after Snatch, I said to myself, and then he did
he's a great
Lock, Stock, and Barrel.
It was the one that he broke out in.
Yes,
Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels.
There you go. When I saw that one, I said I got to keep an eye on that. And in the following year or two, he did Snatch. I was like, this guy's a good director.
And he came in Madonna.
And he came all over her face, according to some reports.
Someone said he has a huge member too. Madonna said he has a huge member.
Really? Well,
someone in the chat room.
You know, coming from Madonna, that's quite the compliment.
I'm sure she's probably seen quite a few.
I love you, Madonna.
Yeah.
Meet Joe Black. You guys ever see that Brad Pitt movie?
Yep. And,
no.
God, what was that? Is that the one? No, what's the one where he
Anthony Hopkins.
Hopkins. Okay, what was the one where he ages backwards?
Benjamin Button.
Yeah, Benjamin Button. Okay,
I didn't watch that either.
Confused a little bit.
Is it
good? Yeah,
Benjamin
Button is good. Yes,
oh, yeah.
I actually bought the DVD, and the extras on that are excellent because there's a lot of special effects and there's a lot of talk about the theme of the movie.
Zach Sullivan. Zach's our members expert.
I never saw Meet Joe Black because it just seemed to be a film about a good-looking guy, and Brad Pitt is a good-looking guy. I don't need to be reminded of that, and so that's what the previews sort of told me. Now, a movie with Brad Pitt and Anthony Hopkins acting
Legends of the Fall?
Legends, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great example. Edward Zwick directed Legends of the Fall, and I thought that was a pretty good movie. But I thought, okay, I've seen enough of Brad Pitt acting like a good-looking dude, and then when Fight Club came out, I was like, okay, this is the Brad Pitt I want.
The best.
Did Edward Zwick?
Range. He's got range.
Zwick is that the guy that did 30-something and About Last Night?
Yes. No. He did not. Edward Zwick did the Civil War movie with the African Americans with star Denzel Washington. Glory. Yes. Excellent film. That's when I first noticed Zwick. Yeah. But I don't think he did those two films you just mentioned.
Well, I mean, the one was a TV show, but About Last Night was in Chicago. Great fucking movie from '86.
Love it.
Who directed? I'm looking this up. Yeah, it was Edward Zwick.
He directed About Last Night?
And 30-something on TV.
Damn.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I love that they're in Chicago on it. There's like Jim McMahon, Walter stuff throughout the film if you look.
Yes. John Belushi.
Rob Lowe. He's pounding Demi Moore in it.
Oh, my gosh. Great sex scenes with Demi Moore.
Rob Lowe still looks the same. He's like, hasn't aged at all. He's
Rob Lowe's like John Stamos, who's like, like you said, they're like 60 and they look like they did when they were 28.
Yeah. What the hell? I don't get it.
Yeah. Fuck you, Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Seven, great movie. Seven's a great movie.
Great. Yep.
Love Seven. And that's a DVD with fantastic extras.
That's David Fincher.
Yeah, it rains in every scene in Seven. Have you noticed that? I mean, the whole fucking movie.
With the exception of the last scene when
what's in the box? Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
He wasn't that good of an actor at that time.
No, I agree.
I enjoyed the movie and his performance. He was kind of like learning the craft.
He hated, I don't know if you know this, Interview with the Vampire. It's ironic. I was going there and it showed up on the screen. He hated that movie so much. He tried to get his agent to get him out of it while they were shooting. He's like, I don't care. I don't care if I have to pay how much money. He's like, they were in England. It was cold. He was depressed. He begged and begged and begged to get out of it and got through it. But he says the worst time of his life professionally.
Wow.
He hated that movie.
What did you see? 12 Monkeys.
I like 12 Monkeys. Yeah,
love it.
Killer,
love
man.
it.
Great movie. That's Terry Gilliam.
Terry Gilliam. Yes, yes. Very, very good movie.
I thought the film where he fucked over Jennifer Aniston because of it, but the one with he and Angelina Jolie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I dug that. Vince Vaughn's in it.
Yeah. Doug Liman, who has done some really good movies over the course of his career, directed that one, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And I got to tell you, you talk about Rachel McAdams, Angelina Jolie does it for me, man. Those eyes and those lips, body type, okay, I don't care. I'm just going to look at your face while I pretend to make love to you.
her mother had lips like that.
That's right. Her mom did.
Yeah, that's where they come from, man. Not from John Voight.
Yeah, no. No. They don't talk to each other because their political beliefs are.
You remember how fucking odd it was in the early 2000s when she was always like making out with her brother and shit? And that's when she was drinking Billy Bob Thornton's blood. And she was a strange chick early on. And then she's like, I'm just going to adopt 29 kids from different nations.
That's right.
I've stopped sucking dick and sucking blood, and I don't kiss my brother anymore. Now I'm a mom for every nation.
She's my hero. Muck says she's a weirdo. Yeah, it's an understatement. Across the Tracks, good pit movie, low budget. Don't know that one.
I don't know that one either.
What about California, where he plays a serial killer?
Right.
Yeah, Juliette Lewis is in it, and David Duchovny.
Yeah, and that there's another woman in that movie. She's not well known, but she's very attractive. She had that very short, dark hair. She was with David Duchovny. They were part of the people driving them to this place. A sweetheart. Moneyball, I thought he was pretty good as the GM.
Moneyball's great.
I didn't like Moneyball. I thought I got to go, unfortunately, but I thought he was good with Gandolfini and Julia Roberts in The Mexican.
Never saw it.
Oh man, James Gandolfini's gay in it. It's great.
Oh really?
Yeah. He you wouldn't know it, but he admits it throughout the film. And Brad Pitt is just like so quirky and funny in it. And and Julia Roberts is kind of like annoyed by him the whole film. I think that was really good. I saw it at the theater in like 2000 maybe.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Mayhem, I think you're wrong on this one. You got to revisit your thoughts on Brad Pitt. He picks great projects to be in. Every once in a while, he's in a stupid project to help pay the bills and stuff. But he's a true artist. The guy is good at what he does.
Yep.
Dan, you're going to the job to save lives?
Yep, that's where I'm headed.
Why don't you stick around a little and let people die?
I wish I could, man. I love the movie talk. I do, but yeah, I don't know about people dying. Hopefully that's not the case. But
what was any recent? I know you can't name names and get into specifics, but any recent?
We had a terrible incident a couple weeks ago, and it's like, again, I don't do any drugs or any of that thing. So part of the reason I haven't is the shit bags I deal with. These two fuckers were doing whatever they were doing. That's fine. They had a 1-year-old, and suffice to say, the 1-year-old got fentanyl in it. And about 4 hours later, the forensics nurse called, and so to me that implied that the kid didn't make it. But I didn't even clarify. I just didn't even want to know. But she said she needed to talk to CPS, Child Protective Services, and the officer or agency that he represented. So I thought she was calling to say the kid died, but a 1-year-old getting in that shit. I don't care if you're a junkie or not. Take care of your goddamn baby, man. Come on.
For sure. Hey, let me ask you a question. When you're seated at your desk and a call comes in, what is it that you say?
Well, the people like normally say, or they're trained, the new people, to say like 911, where's your emergency, all this shit. I just say 911 and let people talk.
So all you say is 911.
I say 911. I'll let you say what you have to say real quick, because usually people are high strung. And then I'm like, all right, Mr. Gandhi, I get it. But where do you live? Where are you? And then I start asking my questions, but I try to make it as much as a conversation as I can. because when people know that you're asking questions just because you have to cover your own ass, they get really annoyed.
Oh, okay.
They're like, just get them here. And I have to say, listen, we're not wasting time. The other dispatchers already got people in help. Help me find you. Help me help you. It's dark. What color is your house? Do you have any vehicles out front? Do you have a pool? Like what stands out? But a lot of times when people are upset, they don't want to give you those cues, But again, I'm working at night. We have to have that shit.
Yeah.
Sure. The reason I ask is we have to do some kind of a skit where, you're the 911 caller and some woman is calling, they're going to draft Caleb Williams. I need your help. Okay.
Oh my God. What are we going to do?
So let's work. Tooch and Dan and myself will work on that little skit for next week's episode. That'll be fun. All right, brother. We'll let you out of here.
All right, Danny.
All right. You all be well. It was a good show. I loved it. I'm sorry I was late, Aldo. I couldn't help it, though.
No, don't worry about it, man.
Fucking work, man. That basketball game.
Yeah,
and there'll be one next week, too. But I'll do everything I can to get my work there early on Monday and stuff. But long story short, the game tonight didn't tip to 7:40. So, I mean, it's just like, normally they tip at 7 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason it was unavoidable.
Don't worry. I know you were really getting your dick. That's why I chose that picture. Take care, brother.
Thank you, man. You all be careful.
That's Dan Aguirre, my good buddy. And now it is time for
just me and Aldo.
Yeah, it's the John and Aldo Bear Their Soul show.
Did you play any of those props I gave you? Because man,
I did not.
I think I have 6-2 with those props, man. I made so much money on the Super Bowl.
Oh, good for you.
But Anthony and I decided that we would play our top prop, which was Patrick Mahomes over 4.5 rushing attempts, and we're just like, because we were talking like kneel downs count. You could kneel down,
right?
And that counts as a rushing attempt. And
that's right. Yeah.
And we decided we're going to put as much money as we could. Let's max bet it, and he had like 8 carries. It's just like him scrambling around and stuff. It was so easy. The guy who set that line is fired.
Yeah, really. Well, I was surprised because the other one, was the Brock Purdy 12.5 yards rushing.
Right. I don't think it got there, did it?
He did. He got like 13 or 14.
Okay,
yeah.
It was right there. Okay. And then I had Harrison Butker over 1.5 field goals. I think he kicked 4.
Yeah.
And I had Nick Bosa over 3.5 tackles plus assists. That was easy at 8.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Brock Purdy over rushing. Just cleaned up, like nice. And then both my college basketball plays won too. So, but now my car needs repairs that I have to take from the account. I think
what happened? What happened to your car?
I think it's like a tie rod or ball joint, because it was like getting a little complainy when I turn. I'd be like, oh crap. It's like, it's like metal groaning. And then I was like driving home from work on the highway and I got about 65 and started vibrating. I'm like, fuck. Pull over, check, see if I had a flat tire. Didn't have a flat tire. Yeah. So I'm like, it's something like that. And like these days, they're kind of like, they'll replace that whole like control rod, control arm, tie rod and ball joint. And like, it's like one piece, I don't know if it's just one thing, I have to like buy all 3 and have them install it. I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow, but.
Well, good luck with that. David, I think is correctly correcting me.
Yeah, so I thought he didn't make it. Yeah.
Yeah, he went from 13 to 12 yards with that kneel down. So I know that I was interested in making that bet, and I think I actually tweeted out that they both were over, but that was before the 4th down kneel down play.
Yeah,
so.
Patrick Mahomes over 4.5 rushing attempts. I knew that was a winner, just like
fucking A.
Harrison Butker over 1.5 field goals was a winner also.
What were your overall impressions of the game?
I had Elijah Mitchell over 3.5 yards. Longest run. His first carry was 7 yards.
Nice.
That was so easy. I didn't play the game, because that line was so sharp. I mean, the total was 47.5, and there was 47 points scored, and that was with overtime. How sharp was that fucking line?
No shit.
So, I went to 47, right at 47.5 was the number. And then, it was hard. We talked about it. It's hard to understand why 49ers were favored, with Mahomes, because you just give Mahomes points.
Yeah.
You know, so my lean would have been to play the Chiefs to win. It's just Mahomes, you know.
Sure.
It's just gonna get it done.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're the next dynasty. You know, they've won three already. You know, he's
won
got 3
three.
Super Bowls. He's the youngest kid with three Super Bowls or 3 rings, right?
Yeah, I think you have to call this a dynasty that they're in now. You know, with the way football is now with free agency and all that stuff. Zach is asking, did Vegas lose their asses Sunday? I don't know.
You know, Anthony says no because I mean, a lot of the money was on the Chiefs, but there were a lot of futures on the 49ers, you know, to make it to the Super Bowl as the NFC conference champion. So I don't know. I would assume they probably lost out, but they're making money on whatever else, you know, parlays or props. So I don't know. I'd have to get back on that, but yeah, there were a lot of like large bets on the 49ers too. So I mean, like maybe a lot of the tickets were on the Chiefs, but a lot of money was also on the 49ers. So
right. What do you think about all of these theories that the NFL has become rigged?
Scripted, scripted, yeah.
Right. Mr. Mayhem brings it up. What do you think?
I just think it would be so hard to do,
right?
You know, and pull it off. But I'm not sure. I would lean no. You know, and a lot of that stuff is just like circumstantial or coincidental.
Right. I do, you know, in this day and age, I do believe that it's possible, but highly unlikely. And if they are doing it, they're doing it by encouraging officials to do things in a certain way that will benefit a certain team or player or something like that.
Yeah.
And I also think that there is kind of this implicit bias that we have seen for decades. You know, I don't believe NBA officials purposely gave Michael Jordan a free ride, but Michael Jordan and all the other NBA superstars, they're superstars, and you're going to be late to call a foul on them or overlook a foul. You agree with that theory?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's 100%. I mean, it's like a lot of those officials in the NBA were just like, how the fuck did he do that? You know, just like, you know, and then, you know, they're just like, after a while, they're just like, it's Jordan, you know, giving him the benefit of the doubt. He's incredible, you know, stuff like that. But for, you know, a few things kind of stood out for me about the Super Bowl. It's like someone had said like Matt Nagy was calling the plays in the first half, and then, you know, Andy Reid was playing him in the second half. I like the Travis Kelce attacking his coach. He almost knocked the poor guy over.
Yeah.
You know, I felt a little sorry for Andy Reid. I'm like, come on, it's a little disrespectful. You know, this whole Travis and Taylor thing has gotten out of control. It's overshadowing the team. And then around here, you know, of course, it was a lot of conflicted Iowans, you know, who love Brock Purdy because, you know, he's Iowa State, the best quarterback Iowa State, you know. A lot of Iowa State's like 25 minutes from me.
Yeah.
So, look at my
hey, how's that happen?
I don't know. I just threw up a thumb and it gave, you know.
That is weird.
Yeah.
What about this?
Nothing. No, and then you know, George Kittle went to University of Iowa, so a lot of people love the 49ers.
Right.
You know,
right.
Iowa State's just down the road from me, and
then
you have the Chiefs.
That.
Chiefs are 2.5 hours from here. You know, a lot of people love
a
lot of Kansas City fans, and you know, Mahomes and all that stuff. So, and at the church I go to, Brock Purdy attended as well. You know, the Hope Church in West Des Moines.
Right.
He you know, they played in the service that they played Brock Purdy at the church handing out, you know, for working the food drive.
Oh wow!
You know,
cool.
They have a food drive every year for food pantries in Central Iowa, and you know, they had they played, you know, just because it was Super Bowl weekend, they played, you know, Brock Purdy at the church handing out or working, you know, not handing out but collecting food donations and stuff. So, and like I said, the Bears tight end Chase Allen also was attended there.
Oh, cool.
He's Iowa State. The Chiefs. Yeah, a lot of Chiefs fans. Yeah, definitely. You know, a lot of Vikings fans, and then the other team, like Chiefs, Vikings. I would say like Bears and Packers are like the next few because the Packers. You know, Wisconsin's not that far. You know, Prairie du Chiene's just across the river in the northeastern corner of Iowa, and then you know Chicago's 5 hours away. You know, what do you call it? Kansas City's 2.5 hours away. And then if any of the players went to Iowa or Iowa State, you know, they like those teams, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was once interviewed by an Iowa radio station. They wanted to do a feature on NFC North teams, and back then I was doing the NFC North bar room, and that's when I learned that Iowa and Kansas City, because they started asking me questions about Kansas City. And I'm like, guys, you got the wrong guy. I don't follow the AFC Central or whatever division that is.
Yeah, it's real close. We went there. I got to tell you, we went there. David Eckfall is in the chat room.
Yeah,
we went this summer to Kansas City for a weekend. My wife and girls and I, and another family, Filipino overseas workers.
Nice.
We went. They have a zoo with a brand new aquarium.
Oh,
the zoo,
fabulous.
Beautiful zoo. Like, and we're always like, Omaha has the best zoo, right? I mean, Kansas City is beautiful. Their zoo is beautiful. And then we went there, and then I was like telling my wife, look, Kansas City, we got to go get some barbecue, you know? So like we finish up from the zoo, we drive over to Jack Stack, which is like a famous barbecue spot, you know, upper class, you know, higher class barbecue, Jack Stack. And I was like, no, honey, I'm really not that hungry. I've been picking and stuff, and walk in there. I'm like, woo, I am really hungry. You know, just like it smelled so good in there. It's like smoke and barbecue and meats cooking and stuff. And waitress tells us, you got to try the lamb ribs. That's our specialty. I was like, lamb ribs? I don't know, man. It's like I get a little it's like a little miniature lamb rib slab. It was so fucking good, man. It was so tender, you know, just tender smoked, and they do like a dry rub.
Did it remind you of the gyro meat?
No, it was not gamey at all. It was just like short ribs, you know, beef short ribs, you know, or if you do like a beef stew or chuck, you know, slow cooked, you know, that kind of like where it's just very tender, man. A little fat, a little fatty, a little greasy. Oh, it was so good, man. And they don't, they have, you know, they serve the sauce on the side. You know, it's not like
the way I like it.
Yeah. Yep. If you want sauce, you use it, you know?
Yes, exactly.
We had a few different kinds, you know, like a standard Kansas City barbecue sauce. They had like a spicy one, which was really good. Not too hot, just spicy enough. Then they had like a vinegar-based loose, like wet sauce. That was excellent. You know, yeah.
That's you know, here in the Chicago area, you probably know this. One of the west suburbs every year would have a barbecue ribs festival with
Naperville had Rib Fest.
I think that's where it was. Naperville, yes.
My hometown, yep.
My gosh, how fun was that?
Yeah.
It's like
I saw Styx play there one time.
Yeah, they got live music, they got carnival rides and so forth, and about 40 plus food stands with different types of ribs.
Yep.
Oh, get out of my way.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. If you're in Kansas City, like Jack Stack, I really enjoy it, man. I would get the lamb ribs again. You know, it's like forget about the rest of the stuff. I tried to brisket. I tried it fine. You know, their pork ribs are excellent too, but the lamb ribs are like.
I gotta give that a shot. Sounds delicious.
Yeah, I did ribs for the Super Bowl by my buddy Tom's house.
Nice.
Had like 3 slabs in the smoker. I like a dry rub. This time I did like a paste. You know, just to catch the smoke a little better, you know, it's like mostly like, you know, the dry spices with a little oil and vinegar, you know, and then just smeared it, let it sit, marinate, and then threw it in the smoker for like 5 hours, 275. But you have to get it to 195 to 200. The pork ribs start to fall off the bone.
Oh, really?
You know, at that internal temperature. And I'm like, fuck, the game's coming up. I'm plateaued at 176, man. I got like, you know, about 20 degrees to go, you know, and you know, they got there, you know, climbed to hit after they done plateauing, got up to 196. I'm gonna take them out, you know, they'll keep cooking and stuff. But yeah, they came out really nice.
There's a science to food preparation and the Super Bowl. You know, there really, really is. You know, most of the pregame stuff you can miss, but there are certain things that you want to watch. And so you got to make sure, you got to get lucky, really, about when you start the meal so you can see some of the pregame stuff. But you also want to, what do you say is the perfect time to have your food ready in terms of minutes or hours before kickoff? What's your preference?
Snacking the whole way. you know, like a series of give me it all, man. Yeah, I was like,
David asked if you've ever tried barbecue jelly sauce with ribs.
Yeah, I was gonna, when I went to do the when I went to go pick up my meat, I went to Hy-Vee really early, in the morning. Like David, I'll tell you, Hy-Vee's like it's like a grocery store. It's like, what kind of, I don't know if there really isn't. It's like Mariano's, I guess, but not quite as high class. But they have a nice little food court and stuff like that, Hy-Vee. So I go there and I'm like the case of baby back ribs is empty. I'm like, fuck. I'm gonna have to drive around somewhere and find baby back ribs because I waited too long,
Right.
And go up to the butcher and I'm like, you guys got baby ribs? Yeah. I was like, give me like 3 all around the same size. And take the membrane off, that silver back. You take that thing off, it'll be nice and tender and stuff. But and then I was like, all right, I'd get some Kansas City dry rub, a little sweet and spicy, and then jalapeno jelly. I was gonna put that in my paste. And I was like, $10 for a little jar of fucking jelly. I'm like, I couldn't justify like, fuck it. I don't need it,
That's funny.
I'm like, just the price of groceries is just out of control.
Oh my gosh, it's fucking frightening.
Yeah, it's like I got a little tiny bag. It was like $53. Hell, man.
All right, we've just been asked. Let's see if I can get this to work here because it's frozen on me. Oh,
yeah.
There it is. We've just been asked. Quick question from Adam: if you guys had to choose for next season, where would you pick to go for an away game last season? So here's the list of away games.
Away games. Okay, I was going to say, do we have a list? All right.
Of course, the NFC North games: Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota. I went to a Detroit game and a Green Bay game. Both were excellent experiences.
Lambeau and Ford Field.
Yes, I've been to Lambeau 4 times now and Ford Field once. Great times. Minnesota, I'm dying to see First Bank Stadium because a lot of people say that the Bears Stadium is going to be a replica.
3 hours. 3 hours from there.
Exactly. So we should meet up there. Arizona, San Francisco, Houston, Indianapolis, and Washington, which would be close for Dan Aguirre. What do you think? Which of those games outside the NFC North, Tooch, would you choose?
Like Houston. I'd like to see Justin play CJ.
Oh,
they got some great barbecue in Houston too, man.
Oh my gosh.
Sean lives in Houston. I could meet up with Sean.
Oh my gosh.
That would be cool. Minnesota would probably be second. I love Minneapolis.
Yeah. See, San Francisco, I wouldn't mind doing, but that's a whole week. I'm not going to fly in for a weekend to San Francisco. There's so many cool things to do.
Expensive, yep.
Yeah, and it's expensive. That is a fact. Yeah. Arizona would be fun. Washington would be fun. Yeah. And Indianapolis is a short drive for me out of Chicago. That's probably a 3.5-hour drive.
Lots of free museums in D.C.
Yeah. Man, any one of those road games would be fun. Adam, you tell me where to meet you. I'll be there, brother.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
I'm actually thinking this upcoming NFL season, we do a post-game show.
The Bears are playing in England, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
That counts as a home game, but
yeah. But I was thinking about maybe not doing the post-game show. That way I can enjoy, my time after the game or go to more games and I have to worry about doing the show and stuff. And then doing, a post-game show on Monday morning. And so that's running through my head. So I'd love to go to more games in 2024.
Yeah, I've been trying to put together a Tooch draft show with Jordan Silvera and Bear.
Yeah, you told me that. Yes.
Okay. I have a shit ton of notes. I'd like to do, and so I called Aaron Curran. I'm like, do you want to do it like on Sunday morning? Like, just do it like under the Barfly tailgate. He's like, he's up for that too. If I can't.
Good.
Baralissimo's got a lot of like stuff on his plate right now.
Yeah.
But, man, I would love to have Baralissimo because he's picked some like incredible players that have like really worked out. Chris Jones, he was like, we Bears have to take Chris Jones. Now it's like, shit, the Bears, we got to sign him in free agency. We could have drafted him, but hey, he had a first-round grab with Chris Jones. The Chiefs took him in the second round. He loved Cooper Kupp. He thought Cooper Kupp was the best wide receiver in that draft.
Yep.
And, like Cooper Kupp's turned out he was injured last year, but man, before that, he was like, number 1 wide receiver in the NFL.
Him and I don't know how Baralissimo felt about Puka, But
Yeah,
you talk about some similar players.
Yeah, he loved Darnell Wright.
Mm-hmm.
Bears right tackle. He actually thought that would be the guy the Bears would pick. Before they picked him. So he's been his track record's been pretty darn good. Aldo and I wanted Mahomes. It's like if you go back and look, I mean, like Justin Fields had better college tape than Mahomes. Like I was telling you at the beginning of the thing, like Mahomes, his footwork was absolutely terrible. He looked terrible out there a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a lot of bad tape out there when he was at Texas Tech. But man, I saw him do that John Gruden quarterback school on video.
Yes.
I was like, he was such a likable kid, and he was smart on the chalkboard.
Right.
And then when he was out there throwing the ball, you're like, you haven't seen arm talent like that.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
that's what people say about Caleb Williams.
What I said at the time is that he reminds me of Brett Favre, a gunslinging guy who's going to throw interceptions, who's going to make all sorts of mistakes, but there's magic behind them. And those are special players. You try to mask those imperfections with good defense and a running game and blah, blah, blah. But he's a magical player, and I love him much more.
It's a great comparison. Brett Favre and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you can even Aaron Rodgers was a lot like that too, because those guys like Mahomes, Rodgers, and Favre, they buy time in the pocket. And that's what makes them. And then they have the arm to pull off the miraculous throw. The arm strength. To get it to the far hash. Find the open man. Buy enough time to find the open man. Make that throw. A guy when I was growing up that was like that was Fran Tarkenton, who said you could pass rush could not get a hand on him. This guy was like a weasel. It's like he weaseled out of everything. It's like I don't know if you watched when you were a kid, Fran Tarkenton, but I mean, like he frustrated the fuck out of Bears fans. They're chasing him around like a chicken.
Sure, fucking did. Yeah. And Mr. Mayhem says Patrick Mahomes would have been a bust with the Bears. I agree with that because
it's hard to say no.
But here's the thing with Mahomes, right? It was like the perfect storm for him. He gets to sit a year behind a Pro Bowl quarterback, Alex Smith.
With great coaches.
Exactly. He goes to a system that works with great coaches and great teachers. It was made to be. He would have come to Chicago Bears and would have been coached by Dowell Loggins or somebody like that. I don't know. What do you think about what David says with the I do remember this. Mitch at the chalkboard with John Gruden, and John Gruden had to teach him like a basic thing. I forgot what it was.
It was the hard count.
Yes, that's right.
He didn't know what a hard count was. He still, when he was on the Bears, he couldn't get away with the hard count. Everyone knew when he was always on two. It was like with Mitch. It's like, God damn it, he always caught. Hut, and that was it. It was always on two.
I'm sorry, TTNL. I'm not trying to pick on you, but I'm supposed to be fucking excited about us drafting a guy who we have to teach what a hard count is. And only 13 games as a starter. I'm sorry.
That's
I know
that's why Bears fans are going to be resistant to taking Drake May. He wears the same fucking number as Mitch. He played twice as many games, though. Has a much better arm.
The thing about Drake is I started paying attention to him in his last 3-4 games, and I caught, I think 2 or 3 of them, and he just didn't play well in those games. So I'm not that high on him, but I know a lot of people are, so I have to pay closer attention to them.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, then like some people say, Jaden Daniels is the top top quarterback. And Jordan Severa, he loves JJ McCarthy.
He does.
JJ McCarthy. I like JJ McCarthy. I'd be fine if like the Bears draft, but he makes good decisions with the ball. He's smart. But I mean, I don't know if he's the pure arm talent that a guy like Caleb Williams is,
Well, and the thing is, Jordan did a really nice job of breaking down his tape for the last draft on tap last week. And by the way, we don't have a draft on tap tomorrow because it's Valentine's Day. So I'm going to try to get laid as opposed to talking to Danny. But the thing with JJ that worries me is, and Jordan says, he comes ready with a pro style offense. Well, he fucking threw in some games. He threw the ball 8 times. That's not running a fucking pro style offense. If you're going to tell me a guy knows the pro style offense, tell me that he throws on average 25, 30 times out of that pro style offense, I'll start to feel a little better. Was Harbaugh hiding his deficiencies as a passer, which is why they were so run heavy, or was just because Harbaugh was a conservative? So I don't, a conservative play caller. I don't know.
Michigan could run the ball down the throats of any team they wanted to. That might be part of it. They enforce their will with the run.
Indeed.
And Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards are fucking good running backs. Their offensive line was excellent.
Yes. And if that's the case, you got to lean on that strength.
To throw to. He didn't have receivers on Michigan. There's
one guy,
Roman Wilson. Roman Wilson, who Greg Gabriel says really isn't that good. Their tight end was okay. I can't remember his name offhand, but he didn't have a lot of guys to throw to. But he still, they won a national championship. That counts for something.
Yep.
He has a great record as a starter. If you you want to say quarterbacks are the record is all they're doing. He has a great record as a starter.
Yep. And he passes the leadership test with flying colors. Yep. Here's a guy who says, I went through a depression last year because I wanted to be Michael Jordan or Tom Brady. I wanted to play at that level. And I started to feel depressed when I wasn't playing at that level. So I sought help. And that's when he got into meditation and being centered and so forth. And now he's doing PSAs, public service announcements.
Come here and be like Harbaugh and Tom Zach. I need a therapist. Football. What do they call the football psychologist or whatever?
Yes,
sports psychologist.
Sports psychologist. Yes.
Maybe that's what's missing with our quarterbacks. We need a fucking sports psychologist, on staff sports psychologist.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Look. Decision gate is it's everything right now. It's by all accounts, Poles could trade that pick and have a first round pick next year, a high first round pick. Now the quarterback class isn't as good next year as it's going to be this year, we think. Decision gate, yeah. I want to do that Bears head with the eyeballs, whenever someone makes a controversial comment in the chat room, we just flash that Bears head.
Oh, I like that.
I'll work on that. Woo!
I like that. Yes.
Yeah, that was one thing. I was I want to have the bear head, have the eyeballs popping out and stuff.
Yeah.
When I did this graphic. Shit,
Let me know if you need help with that.
I'll whip it up for next time. But yeah. Look, like I said, the Bears have not a lot of picks. You said 6, right? We've got 6 picks. That's not a lot, man.
No,
it's not a lot. And you have the thing that people say with Caleb Williams. You were talking about Brett Favre and Mahomes and stuff. Those are guys that buy time in the pocket. Caleb Williams does that. That's what he does, man. He buys time in the pocket. He climbs the ladder. He avoids the pressure with a little move, and he has the arm strength to do all that. But like you said, we don't know if he's a leader. We know Justin Fields a leader. He's got a great arm too, but man, I don't know whether it's the coaching or the stupid play calling or the bad play design. There's some plays where Luke Getsy had 3 wide receivers all in one area. How it's so fucking easy to defend. You just send 3 guys over there. It's just one little zone. There's no clear outs. There's no crossing. There's no. That's the thing, man. It's just hopefully with Waldron we've got some better play design, but
you and I know, and I think everyone in the chat can relate to this, is when you bring in somebody new into an organization, whether it's a sports team or someone at work and so forth, and that person now has a leadership role, and you cannot respond to that person's style of leadership, then you've got a sinking ship. And that's a huge fear, I think, should be for the Bears right now. They've got a leader in Justin Fields, who has the respect of their number 1 wide receiver, DJ Moore, their number 1 tight end, Cole Kmet, and everyone else on that offense. He's got their respect. Do you bring someone in who has, by all reports, has had questionable leadership skills? And so if you lose those players because, hey, I don't like this Caleb guy, why did we get rid of Justin? Yeah, we're back in that fucking spiral that you have so cleverly designed. I'm looking for the graphic Where is it? Oh
Bears.
my God.
The what do you call it? The Bears cycle.
Yes. I know it's
fuck is
here
it?
somewhere. Oh gosh, there it is, right there.
You found it?
Yeah,
There
right
it is. Yeah, cycle. Yep.
Yeah, and the way you have it here is lose in embarrassing fashion, call for the coach to be fired, beat up a bad team, and coach keeps his job. Well, the way you would describe it now is you draft a new quarterback, nobody likes him.
Yep. Coach gets 1 year with him, the coaching staff.
Right.
Then they fire the coaching staff, and then the new savior of quarterback, he's got to deal with new coaches.
Exactly.
That's where we're headed if we draft frickin' Caleb Williams, they tank, and Eberflus is fired. Look, they went 7-10 this year. If they go fucking 4-13, like Eberflus, seriously, they're going to consider firing Eberflus.
No shit.
For
Absolutely.
sure. Even if he goes 6-11, they might consider firing him.
He's gone. There's no doubt about it.
But yeah.
Hey, before we get out of here, I want to get your thoughts on this because we talked about draft value and so forth. You just mentioned it a little while ago. This is the Rich Hill. Rich Hill has taken Jerry Johnson.
Nice. I haven't seen this.
Well, and what I've done is I've taken all of the value points. The Bears only have 6 draft picks, as you see in that far right column. But because they're picking 1st and 9th and in the 3rd round, you add up all their value points, it comes out to 1,513. Look at the 3rd team on this. They got 1,134, despite the fact they have more than 2
picks.
times. Yes.
Yeah.
And so my question to you, would you rather be the Arizona Cardinals with 13 picks or the Chicago Bears with 6 picks, but you're picking higher overall in terms of value?
I probably would rather be where the Bears are, because not only can you trade out of that first pick, but like I said, after like the 5th round, there's like the draft is kind of dead. There's not a lot.
Right.
You really have to fucking hunt. There's no good 5th, 6th, 7th round. I mean, it's really thin back there. It's like a lot of guys like, I don't know. Could they be good? Maybe, But rounds 1 through 4 are pretty fucking solid.
Yep.
You can get good players in the 4th round in this draft. It's top heavy.
I totally agree. It's because it's a top heavy draft. I think the Bears are sitting in a great position. I really do. And if they follow my advice and stick with Justin, then you trade the number 1 and you get, the 8th pick of the 1st round, the whatever. You're gonna those value points might fall below the Commanders, although I doubt it. I don't know. I could be
maybe not. Yeah,
because that's like 300 points.
Yeah,
but you will be better positioned to get the players needed to support your current quarterback, Justin Fields. If you draft Caleb Williams, you're basically starting from scratch.
Yeah, you're starting from scratch. And the locker room is a little less happy.
Yep.
If you're serious about getting trading from 1 to 2, Poles really has to drive that price up, because like Gabriel said, it's really not. It's like. It's one spot, and you're really only going to get like a 3rd round pick or something. Right. I forgot what he said, 3rd or 4th round pick. So you want to be like, well, we really love Caleb Williams. We're fine taking him at 1. Like 2. If he gets Washington's 2nd and the second overall pick, and Washington the 2nd round pick we gave the Commanders for Montez Sweat, I'm in.
Yes,
I'm in. Give me that pick back.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
So let me ask you this. Last year, where I was a little disappointed when the Bears, made that trade for DJ Moore so early in the draft. It was in March, 2 months before the actual draft. I thought to myself, maybe you could have waited and you could have made multiple trades and gotten more value. Now, I got no complaints where we ended up. We got the number 1 overall this year, and DJ Moore, not fucking bad. We still got Darnell Wright. But were you a little disappointed that they made the trade so early?
At the time, yeah, because you're thinking, he could have gotten more, stuff like that.
Right.
But turned out working out. Turned out to work out.
Right. So I feel like, you just talked about the Washington trade. If the Bears were to trade down to Washington and then on draft day make another trade, perhaps with Atlanta, you go from 2 to 8, and now you have the 8th and 9th, and you've got Atlanta's, second round and first round from next year. That's an interesting scenario for me.
Yeah, you're not taking a quarterback at 1 or 2. You could ideally trade from 1 to 2, and then from 2 to 3, and probably get the 49 or the Patriots to trade up for Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just at 3 you get your choice of like probably Marvin Harrison Jr. or
Malik Neighbors or Roma Odunze.
Yep, or Joe Alt, the left tackle.
Joe Alt, yeah,
from Notre Dame.
What do you think about that? Would you pick Joe Alt? I saw a mock draft where Joe Alt was the first pick by the Bears, a first pick of the first round.
I would
was like,
seriously think about it because
really,
that's a guy that you're like, okay, you're playing left tackle and you're good. Bears are good for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
At the left tackle spot. Because he's going to be solid, if not Pro Bowl, at left tackle. A good player, man. Good player.
Yeah, he's really good. I will say this.
Size, footwork, athleticism, it's all there.
He's not a flawless player.
No.
So the idea of taking him, that high in the first round, I have a little bit of difficulty with that.
Yeah.
A guy like Jordan Morgan out of Arizona, who is projected as a low first round, early second round, I would rather have that because, it's just a value thing. Value sometimes is hard to explain, but of those of us who have played fantasy football a lot, I think have a better understanding of value.
Yeah, the Penn State left tackle is going to take, he's a little raw too.
Right.
Right. So, but I mean, like, as far as like polish, he's the most polished left tackle in the draft.
Yes.
But
I don't know, man. It's going to be fascinating. I'll tell you that.
You can get away with Braxton Jones. Like he's not going to be the greatest, but he's going to give you time, like you said, to get the ball out. But I would say they should draft, like a center and a guard at least somewhere in there. That's why I think Pole's going to trade so he can get some offensive linemen in the pipeline.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not sure our depth on the O-line is, you saw it this year.
It's a problem. It's a big fucking problem. I agree with Adam here. Rome Odunze seems like a team player and a perfect Robin to DJ Batman Moore. I agree. I like the idea of the Bears getting that big wide receiver who is going to open up big breakout plays for running backs because of his good downfield blocking. And Rome has that strength, that height and strength and weight to be. Malik Neighbors intrigues me tremendously because he's so much like DJ Moore. You'd have great yak wide receivers. Yeah. But Rome and Marvin are the two biggest X-type receivers. Yeah. And those are my preferences right now. Although if the Bears ended up with Malik Neighbors, man, I would be so fucking happy. That would be awesome.
He's probably the best. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Neighbors are the two best route runners in the draft. I've watched Rome Odunze. He's a good player, but man, it's like as soon as he catches the ball, he's tackled or he falls down. It's not like you get a lot of yak from Rome, but I mean, it doesn't take much to bring him down. That's just my only issue with him. He's fast, he's big, he'll make the contested catch, and he has a large catch radius as well. But man, from a lot of all too often he's just tackled immediately. That's just my issue with him. Keon Coleman is the guy who's similar. Maybe makes some spectacular catches too, drops some easy ones, but after the catch, man, dude is fucking shifty and he's big and he's like yak monster. He just doesn't have the production that the other guys have, but could be really good, man.
Yeah. But J2K says that Jordan Morgan, the tackle that I like, will be a guard because he's got very short arms, and I'm looking at my readout from the Senior Bowl.
He's only 6'4".
He's 60-47, so he's almost 6'5". 32-78 with the arms. Yeah, that's a little bit under what you want. Yeah. So thanks for that.
And he has the knee injury too, but man, he really protects the blind side though, man. There's a guy gets in position, uses his strength, has good footwork and stuff too. And you're going to get him, end of the first round, top of the second round, probably, unless his injury doesn't check out at the combine. But
exactly. That's the key. Yep. That's the key. Mr. Shorty just joined us again. He goes, awesome. You guys are still here. We're here.
Mr.
We were waiting for you.
He has a new job or something?
He does. He came to Chicago area for 2 weeks of training, and I think he started the new job this week.
Chicago area. No shit.
Yeah.
Hanging out. Did he get his truck caught under any load?
Yeah, Shorty. Fill us in on what's the latest with your truck.
Is this truck okay?
Yeah. And I got an announcement from Mr. Shorty. Mr. Shorty gifted me with a beautiful, beautiful gift certificate to Gibson Steakhouse, which my wife and I will be enjoying our Valentine's Day dinner. Woo-hoo! We'll be sending pictures, Mr. Shorty, and doing a toast to you. So Mr. Shorty says, I have been doing it for 4.5 weeks. So he started the job 4.5 weeks ago. Nice. But you did 2 weeks of training, if I remember correctly, you telling me. And so that's why you were in the Chicago area. But either way, we'll be toasting you and taking pictures of you and begging that you piss on our lawn.
They showed Mr. Shorty how to turn on the computer.
Please, Mr. Shorty, come back to my house and piss on our lawn again. These meals are going to be great.
I think when we came to the was it recently you had the party, at your house for the bar room, and I had written down the number, like one number off, so it was like I forgot. Is yours an even or odd number address?
It's odd.
Odd. Okay, so I had written down the next or previous or after.
Like 715 or 7.
Yeah, and I was an even number. And
gotcha.
I'm on the other side of the street. I'm like, there's no fucking house here. Then I think I saw somebody, on your doorstep. It was probably Mr. Shorty taking a leak. I'm like, there's the fucking
There's somebody out there smoking marijuana. Yeah,
I think it was like Foster coming out and going back.
Yeah, Foster. Was it Foster? No, yeah, it was Foster. I think if I remember the story. So we had
Foster
a great
or
party.
Someone else was like coming in and going out.
Yeah, that was the best party I've hosted in.
I can't find that
years.
bottle of whiskey too. I brought for you again. I'm trying to find that one. The Foundry. It was like part rye, bourbon, and double aged.
That was so good,
so smooth.
And Cliff brought a great bottle of tequila. I've been trying to find that with no luck at all. But don't worry, I got.
I wanted to tell you about a movie too before we get out of here. I'd watched recently that kind of stuck with me. And I'd never heard of it before, but it's I think the guy's name is like Sean Baker's the director. He does these like kind of like real life type movies, and it's called The Florida Project, and it's about these like Willem Dafoe. He usually uses unknown actors like regular people, and then he usually has like one maybe good actor, and it's Willem Dafoe. He plays this lovable motel manager outside of Disney World in Florida, and like all the people that live at like transients that live at this motel. Like there's a little girl and her mom's like a fuck up, drug abuser, thief, sometimes prostitutes. And she's got a cute little 6-year-old girl, man, that like, they're getting into trouble. Her and all the other kids, they get into trouble. They walk out they're always by themselves, like 6 years old. Maybe they're fucking going out, walking around the motel, crossing the street, all this stuff. And Willem Dafoe's got like a heart of gold. He's always like trying to bail them out and stuff. And the little girl, she's just so funny too. And the mom is such an F. Florida Project, J2K. And I was like, I don't want to. My wife was watching. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. I was like, it really sticks with you. Man,
I've seen it on Netflix. I've scrolled past it, but now that you are recommending it, I'm definitely going to watch it.
Yeah. Willem Dafoe is in it, and he's just a heart of gold, But it kind of stuck with me, man. I'm just like, I think I've been thinking about it, a little bit and stuff, some of the characters and stuff.
I love movies like that just stick with you. You keep thinking about it.
You feel sorry for the people. Some of them are like, look at that, man. Why the hell did they do that? Or why would they say that? Shut up, You're just like, you gotta stay with stuff. Don't say that or don't do that. Yeah, it's good, man. She tries to they're selling those wristbands for the amusement park, for the theme park.
Disney, right?
Yeah, Disney theme parks, whatever. They're and like they probably don't work. They're just ripping people off. $400,
Mr. Shorty is a fan of True Detective, and yeah, indeed, Jodie Foster has killed it.
Man.
No,
She's like a little horn dog, man. And that's
I love it.
Funny because she's like, she's after all the guys. She's a lesbian in real life,
right? Yes,
it's like she plays a horn dog pretty well, man.
She really sells those sex scenes, no doubt about it.
Yep.
And the other thing about her is that I give so much credit was in this age where like every fucking person in front of a camera except me and Tooch are doing Botox or plastic surgery and stuff. She's just laying it all out there. All of the wrinkles.
She's 62, man. Fantastic.
She looks fabulous. God bless her for not getting all that plastic work done. It's an authentic look, and it's as sexy as ever. Zach says it looks worn out from all the rug munching. For you, fucker. I love you, Zach.
With the True Detective, like they did drop these bombs on us. Like, okay, like Navarro, her and Jodie Foster, Danvers and Navarro covered up the Wheeler murder. We think that Navarro probably lost it and fucking blew. And Liz covers up for a lot of people. Let's just,
yes, she does.
She tolerates Hank, who, now we find out he was promised the chief of police, and instead, I forget what's Christopher Eccleston's. He was the former chief of police.
Yes,
and he moved on to a bigger position in law enforcement, and they exiled Danvers to Ennis.
Right.
As the chief of police and stuff. And then the lady who runs the mine had something to do with Annie Kotok, so dropped a bunch of bombs on us, and then Hank was somehow involved in moving. He admitted he moved Annie's body, right? From the cave, the cave to the storage container, where Navarro found the body in the storage container, admitted to moving the body. And then, he broke into Peter's computer, to find out, to get the dirt on Danvers and Navarro.
Figured out the password because it's his daughter's birthday.
Right, I know. And like Jodie Foster's like, it wasn't, what was it, Darwin's birthday?
Yes. She's so good.
Yeah.
We've got a who was it? Notorious says great movie I recently watched was Dinner in America. Have you seen that?
My wife was talking about it. She wanted to watch it, or maybe she watched it without me.
Here's the description.
Is it up for an Academy Award, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
It's
been a big hit in the film festivals, and the tagline on it is an on-the-land punk rocker and a young woman obsessed with his band unexpectedly fall in love and go on an epic journey together through America's decaying Midwestern suburbs. Also, they're going by my house, huh? We'll check it out, Notorious. Thanks for the recommendation. Somebody else said something about a movie that they liked. It wasn't Zach because he's still fixated on Jodie Foster's. Mr. Shorty. Just watched Killer of the Flower Moon. I have not seen it yet. I have not.
I still haven't made it through it. I fell asleep every attempt. Sorry, Martin. Sorry, Marty. I haven't made it through that. I just can't. I'm not into it. I'm like, De Niro and DiCaprio, they're horrible people. The Indian people are so nice. You just you love the Indian people, and they do terrible things to them. The white people are terrible people. And I'm not saying that wasn't how it was in Oklahoma back then. I don't know, but I just didn't get into it. The people are horrible characters.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get through it.
Oh, well, I'm definitely going to give it a try, but I'm just waiting. It's on Apple now, isn't it?
Is it? I think so. Yeah, I think it's on Apple.
So.
Yep.
So it's time to watch it.
I started rewatching House of the Dragon because I think that's not this Sunday, but the Sunday after season 2 starts. Because that'll take the place of True Detective, that slot.
Yes.
Right? It takes the place of True Detective in that slot.
Exactly.
So I rewatching, I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, oh man, it's a good thing I started rewatching this again so I can know what the fuck is going on. But yeah, it helps if you rewatch that one too.
And they announced that the season premiere of The Bear is going to be this summer.
I started watching it already. The season 2 is there season 3, right?
Yeah, so season 3 in June.
I started watching season 2.
Yes.
which I missed. You know, I haven't. I'm like 3 episodes into season 2, which I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, isn't it good?
Oh, it's so good. It's
so fucking good.
Yeah,
highly recommend The Bear. I wasn't going to watch it. In fact, about halfway through season 1, I was getting a little bit tired of all the bickering that was going on with the characters. And I said, you know, Tooch really recommended this so highly. I'm gonna finish it. So after a couple of days, I went back on the bench, and I was
it's a very Chicago movie.
Yes, and I'm telling you, I choked up like a fucking baby at each of the season 1 and season 2 finales. I'm crying like a fucking baby, man.
And I'm only in episode 3, but does Carmi's brother make an appearance in season 2? Like, I know it's played by John Bernthal, who I love.
That episode is actually twice the length of all of the other episodes. It is a fucking fantastic episode, and that's the episode Jamie Lee Curtis also makes her debut in the series.
And Bob Odenkirk is like her boyfriend.
Yes! Oh my gosh, he's so good. And the comedian, what's his name? The comedian Mulvaney?
John Mulvaney, yeah.
Yes,
John Mulaney.
Mulaney, yes. He's in it too. That's a great fucking episode, man.
Yeah. That's right. Jodie Foster was in Elysium.
Elysium,
that's a great movie.
Yeah.
A great movie. Yeah.
I like
Matt
the way
Damon.
the fabric gets pulled with the horizontal ring because Zach is a sick man.
Yeah, they're trying to turn the restaurant into a fine dining. You know, Carmi wants to do a little higher end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's always been this season's been like Sydney's about, you have a Michelin star. He's like, no, I retained the previous chef's Michelin star, you know. But I think now he wants to get his own, you know.
Yes,
You know, it's
exactly.
definitely after the Michelin star. And then you got Oliver Platt is great. You know,
oh
Uncle
my
Jimmy,
gosh.
Uncle Jimmy.
Yes.
Yep.
I've always loved Oliver Platt in movies.
he's
What a
good.
great supporting cast. He's not a leading man. He's just a supporting character. He's
Did you see Year One?
Mm-mm.
Oh man. Okay, you know who Harold Ramis is?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, he wrote and directed Year One, and it's like Jack Black and Michael Cera, like two really funny motherfuckers.
No shit.
They're like cavemen, and then they leave their tribe or whatever, and they like, you know, they eat from the Garden of Eden to the apple, you know, and they leave and they experience all the Bible, Old Testament shit, you know, like the two Cain and Abel are Paul Rudd and David Cross. You know, it's like it's got a great cast, man. It's so funny, dude. And then Oliver Platt plays this like gay, like high priest, like fortune teller, and you won't even recognize him, man. He's all made up.
I love it.
He's in love with Michael Cera, you know, and the things he says he does this great voice and stuff, man. Harold Ramis, he was the writer of Caddyshack. Him and
that's
Brian
right.
Doyle Murray wrote Caddyshack. But Year One is hilarious. And what's his name? Harold Ramis is in the movie. I think he plays like Isaac or Abraham, one of them. You know, one of the fathers of the Judea tribes. You know, whatever. Right. But yeah, it's so fun. They go on the Romans and the Egyptians and stuff. They're traveling through it, like you know. I think I can't remember who else. It's got a great cast though. There's tons of like.
I remember the movie, so I will definitely. It's one that got away from me. I will definitely check it out. Harold Ramis, Harold directed Caddyshack. That is correct, and also. He was in what was the name of the movie with Bill Murray and him? They
Stripes. Yeah.
Comedy
classic. Yep.
Absolutely.
With the great Warren Oates. Sergeant Polka.
That's
Sergeant
right.
Polka.
That's right. And PJ Soulz, who was a scream queen in so many horror movies.
Yep. And Sean
very
Young.
Sexy and the sexy.
Very beautiful Sean Young. Yeah.
What was the name of the movie that she did with Kevin Costner where they have sex in the back of a limo?
With who was it?
Kevin Costner and Sean Young.
No Way Out. No Way Out.
No Way. Oh, great movie. Great movie. Gotta see it. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Shorty's on a Casey's General Store pizza. I had some the other day, man. I had to get one. I was a little peckish. I went for a slice of pepperoni. Yeah, and a Diet Sprite Zero. Yeah, they don't have Casey's yet in Arlington Heights, probably not yet.
No, I haven't seen one.
They got great pizza, and it's like There's Papa John's and Domino's. Those are the top 2 pizza retailers in the U.S. And Casey's is number 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Little Iowa company now is big nationwide.
Look at that. Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
Harold Amos was Seth Rogen's father and knocked up, according to Mr. Mayhem. I have a recollection of that. That's
he passed away, though, right?
Yes, about 2 or 3 years ago. Yes, unfortunately.
I haven't tried their new thin crust yet. I like the classic. They have a breakfast pizza too. That's really awesome with like scrambled eggs, cheese, and like white sauce and sausage or bacon. Excellent.
Nice. Madeline Stowe is one sexy actress. She is one of my favorites too. She was in a movie with Chevy Chase called Funny Farm or something like that.
Funny Farm. Yep.
Yeah, an out-of-place couple of city moves out into the farm, and Chase is the comedy lead on that. But she just looks so sexy in that.
Mr. Shorty, he might make a delivery on your front doorstep, a different kind this time.
That's good. Leave me
don't go buy a Holdos after that case.
No. Unless you want to send me some Portillo's Italian beef.
They had a Portillo's over by you, not on Dundee Road.
Yeah,
Dundee Road. Yeah, there's one over there.
There's like 3 or 4 of them within I would say a 5-mile radius, and it's cool because each of them has its own theme.
What do you think
inside.
of Portillo's?
Oh, I like it, but it's not as good as it used to be when the original.
Yeah. But I still my wife didn't like Portillo's. I mean, I tried the beef and cheddar croissant, babe, with sweet peppers. It's like a croissant, like lightly dipped with Italian beef, cheddar, and sweet peppers. Oh,
yeah,
so good.
See, the best for me, the best Italian beef anywhere around here is Johnny's.
Yeah, Elmwood Park.
Yes, there's one in Elmwood Park and there's one in Arlington Heights.
Is it still open, the one in Arlington Heights?
Yes, it is. I was there about
Arlington Heights Road.
Yes, I was there about 2 months ago, maybe a month ago. And excellent. Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
Yeah, Johnny's is good. Yep, and Mr. Beef was pretty good on Orleans downtown. Al's is good too. It's hard to decide between those two down. They're very similar.
Yeah, I totally agree. I cannot tell the difference between an Al's and a Mr. Beef. Nope. Absolutely.
No.
All right, guys, it is time for us to pull the plug on this episode of what's the name of the show? Oh, Bare Their Souls. Yeah. What a blast! And if you have not seen or heard Tucci's Bears State of Affairs, you really need to do that. You know what? I need to start isolating those and putting those up on
separately.
Yeah, I need to do that. So I'm gonna make a point of that tomorrow before I get laid.
Yeah, we got Friday weekend sports betting tips. Anthony and Sean are going to transition to college basketball.
Okay,
so man,
that's where the money is made, right?
Sean and I think all 4 of us gave out winners. 4-0 from the last show. I had Troy minus 4.5 at home. Sean gave out the dog of the day, which is Rutgers. They won outright at home versus Wisconsin. And then Anthony gave out that prop pick, that we like, the Patrick Mahomes rushing. And if you guys listened and played, made some good money last weekend, man.
That's the way to do it. Yep. Every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Sean was getting into it with some of the Caleb Williams fans, though, on the last show. He was like,
love it.
Why would you get rid of Justin Fields? Yeah, it's like, he's like, he thinks Justin Fields will make the next step, for him. He's like, don't waste the pick. Get more picks,
I gotta agree, but I'm also increasingly getting more and more nervous about the whole situation. This is such a difficult decision for Ryan Poles, but he's got the resources to Bears security is looking into this guy's background and everybody else's background, hopefully to make the right decision and not fuck
what
this
do you
up.
think? I don't know. I mean, have you watched any Caleb Williams games or films or?
Not enough to make a really informed decision. I said earlier in the show, I think I saw 2 or 3 games, and 2 of them were losses. Because I don't recall seeing him in 2022. So the 2 games in 2023 was the Notre Dame game and the game where he's crying on his mom's shoulder. Those are the games that I watched.
I can understand why you don't have the best impression.
Yeah, right. not great. But I do want to take some time to watch some of those games, and I will do that soon, so I can hopefully talk more intelligently about that. And by the way, did I tell you that I love this woman?
I love her. You saw The Notebook, right? Did you see The Notebook?
You know what? I haven't seen it since
You've
it's
never
released.
seen it? Oh my God!
I need to watch it again.
Dude, but have a box of Kleenex nearby so you can. You see, it's so bittersweet. It's just like it's happy, it's sad, it's life affirming. It's like she's so cute. And Ryan Gosling's and he's a good actor too.
He's a great actor, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with that movie is that because my wife and my two daughters
Nicholas Sparks, right?
Nicholas Sparks, exactly. Because they were watching that movie almost daily. All I did was make fun of them. You guys, you should watch. You should watch something else like the news or something instead of this
that's one of the movies that made me cry. There's some that made me cry. This movie, when a movie can make me cry, I know that it's a good movie.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Like you haven't seen Coda, right? There was the Children of Deaf Adults.
Nope,
that was the best picture that made me cry.
Yeah,
so it has a great ending.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those movies where they just have the the happy ending.
Yeah.
Boom.
I get you.
They get it. Yeah, it's like
every once in a while I like to watch it. One of those movies that tug at your heartstrings. Because you need a good cry. Even us men need a good cry every once in a while. It's like taking a shower.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you got to see both Coda and Notebook. I mean, you have to see them.
I will put those on the list. The Coda I've been dying to watch.
Yeah, it's excellent, man. It's so funny too. It's like the family's hilarious, man.
Oh, you know what I watched recently that I've been dying to watch? I think you recommended it. It was a Midsummer.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Dude, what a freak
film.
out. Yeah, it's excellent. Yeah. Ari Aster. It's a horror movie.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. There's no doubt
like,
about it.
It's like worse than The Wicker Man.
Yes,
in the same vein of story, but man, the people jumping off the cliff, that I'll never forget that scene. Oh my God.
Yes, unbelievable. One of my favorite scenes is when they drop the mushrooms, and if you're paying close attention, the background is moving with special effects and so forth. I read an article afterwards that the filmmaker, what's his name again?
Ari Aster.
Ari Aster said they had to do 20 different variations of that because they would think that it's taking up too much of people's attention. Oh, this isn't, it's not noticeable at all. And so to find the right, exact movement in the background to give that hallucinatory feel, they just had to do it over. It's a fabulous movie.
It's so intense, man. And what's the girl's name? Like that's the star.
Pugh.
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh. Yes.
Florence Pugh. Yeah, she's gone on to make a bunch of movies since that movie.
Yes, she has.
When I remember talking with my wife, we were watching the movie together back when it first came out in video, and I'm like, she's wearing these like totally unflattering jogging pants.
I know.
And I'm just like, she looks like she's got poopy pants, babe. I kept telling her.
I know. I'm thinking to myself, man, she's kind of hot, but why is she wearing these baggy shorts?
The costume director didn't do her any favors, man.
No.
It was like
no. Yeah, and she's a real cutie. And it's just it's one of these movies where after you're done, it's gonna, like Toot said earlier about another movie, it's gonna have you thinking about it for days. And there's many different ways to interpret what are its thematic elements. Are they talking about this or are they talking about that and so forth? So I highly recommend it. It is on Hulu, David. Thank you very much.
It's on Hulu right now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Tuch, tell people where they can find you on that social media thing we call X.
Yeah, at John Santucci VIP. I haven't been keeping up with my stuff. I've been so busy. Like I said, I had the Super Bowl magazine, but luckily about 9:00, I was like 9:30. I was like, okay, I'm not working all night. The 49ers lost. So I had the 49ers. I'm working during the game. I brought my laptop over to my buddy's house. I'm like, all right, I got first quarter, second quarter stories done. Then like they didn't send third quarter and fourth quarter yet, but that then it went to overtime. They were like, okay, hold on, we're writing the overtime pages too now. And then it was like, the 49ers are up 3, and then it was like as soon as the Chiefs drove all the way down on the 3-yard line, a 3-yard line, I'm like, all right, it's over. Mahomes they're getting a touchdown here. I'm not working. So.
Yeah. That must have been hilarious for you, or not hilarious, but frustrating. It's like,
And then,
holy fuck!
you guys didn't talk commercials, right? Because I like one commercial I really liked was the Christopher Walken one.
Oh, love that one.
Down the street, it's like everybody's doing an imitation, man. It was fucking hilarious too. I was laughing. That was the best one for me.
You know what? We should talk about that next week. I should pull some of the really good ones. I love that commercial.
It was so funny, dude. Everybody, even the lady walking her dog.
Yeah. You know what? I tweeted out that because I've accustomed myself to fast forwarding on commercials or not paying attention. There weren't that many that caught my attention. I was doing other things, but that Christopher Walken one and a couple of others were fantastic.
Arnold Schwarzenegger State Farm was good.
Yeah, that was good.
Danny DeVito and him.
Ben Affleck, J-Lo, Matt Damon.
And Tom Brady. Yep,
and Tom Brady. That was good.
The Dunking Kings or Dunkings or something
Dunkin'
like that.
Donuts,
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, that was funny too. Yeah, those are about the best ones. Other than that, it really wasn't that great,
Yeah, it seems like the last few years, the commercial quality or creativity, I should say,
and
has gone down.
Usher's dance moves were fantastic.
Yeah,
I was like watching. I'm like, man, I wish I could dance like that.
Oh,
it was like it wasn't like dancing class when I was growing up wasn't a thing we did. We were lucky if we got square dancing class in gym and PE. Square dancing, line dancing, country line dancing, and square dancing. That was all we did.
Yeah.
My wife's like, man, we would took dancing all through school. From like grade school through high school, we did like all different kinds of dance.
That pisses me off. I wish we would have had that here in the States.
Me too. It's like something you do for the rest of your life. You know how you go to like a wedding and there's like 90-year-old people dancing in love, like an old couple, dancing still, old married couple dancing always like, gets me right there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, love, it's just something, if you don't learn it, it's something, if you did, it's something you do your whole life.
Exactly.
That's why my girls are going to be, they've taken that, tried to sign them up for dance class wherever.
Awesome.
So
that's great. Growing up as a Puerto Rican, there was a lot of salsa dancing around me, and I could never master salsa dancing, and it was such a detriment. Everybody was fucking except me because I was the guy standing on the wall talking to some other nerd who couldn't dance either.
Same with me.
You and me, we're done set.
A wallflower.
Everybody's getting laid. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Bear the Soulz. Thank you, Johnny Santucci, for another great Bears State of Affairs and for talking football with me for the last hour and a half.
We're going to have plenty of material up until we got the combine. We got free agency. We got the draft.
Rumors. We got plenty of stuff to cover, and we will do it here on Bear Their Souls and the entire Barrow Network. For Johnny Santucci, for Dan Aguirre, and for everyone in the chat room, thank you so much for being a part of the show. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.